One, welcome all, and welcome back to another season of college football here at Chapman University. It's been a blazing few days here in Orange, California, but as the sun sets, the stage only gets brighter. Here between these two teams, tonight's special, your Chapman Panthers coming in as reigning SCIAC champions, headed by head coach Bob Owens, one win away from 100 career Chapman wins. The four-time Coach of the Year and SCIAC title winner looks for his first time as a repeat champion. On the other side, Ian Falconer looks to rebound after going 13-14 overall his past 3 seasons, has been 11-10 in the Northwest Conference, and he was the offensive coordinator of that best offensive program history in 2019. Welcome in to another CSBN broadcast. Nico Schwegler, Justin Lee will be joined in just a moment by our very own Caroline Chang. But Justin, college football season's back. This crowd is ready to go, and these Chapman Panthers are ready to defend another SCIAC title for the next time.
Absolutely, and we get to see, this is a treat between these two teams because you get two different teams, one from the north, one from the west coast. Obviously, we cover Chapman a lot of the time. It's been 301 days since we had Saturday Night Lights, and it is no more exciting than this, isn't it?
It is absolutely phenomenal to be back once again. Great to be with you, partner. And now we take a look at what's happening around the rest of this conference right now. We take a look at what has already happened. Scores aren't up there, but Claremont beat Chicago 24-0 earlier today. Surf Division, this SCIAC is the only conference in all of Division III to have divisions. That's going to be a big one for these Panthers to keep an eye out for and try and set the tone against a side like Pacific here tonight. Absolutely,
and you watch some of these games, and Chapman's definitely going to be keeping a close eye on these games because obviously they matter. They matter to what's the indicator of the other teams. Lisa Pressler, Madison Miller, we have them for the halftime show later. They'll break a little bit more down because some of the games are still going on. We know some of the results, but we don't know most of them until later.
It's going to be a great halftime show indeed. We're very excited to hear what Maddie and Lisa have down on the sidelines for us. But as we take a look at what these two teams did 2 years ago, 42-21 was the final score in favor of the Panthers. 208 rush yards to 99, 5 rush touchdowns to 2. But it's that time of possession. Usually, the team that dominates the run game is the one that takes care of business in that possession game. But it was the Pacific Boxers who dominated and yet somehow lost by 3 touchdowns, Justin. Just a very bizarre sense of what happened in that game 2 years ago.
On paper, it does look bizarre, but the thing is that Pacific loves to run the ball. That's kind of the name of their game. They will dominate with the carries possession. The problem is their red zone efficiency was not as great as it was last year compared to that 2019 team from ages ago. And now they have to re-identify themselves because they're playing with a lot of inexperienced guys this season. We're going to see a little bit more of that attack, but the great thing is that they bring in a key player from last year that was huge for their offense.
We'll see if that offense can carry on and maybe, just maybe, go against this top rush defense from the Panthers, but that's going to be for later to come. Now, we're going to toss it down to the sidelines where our very own Caroline Chang has the latest on all things Chapman. Caro, what do you have for us down there?
Thank you so much, Nico and Justin. My name is Caroline Chang. I don't know about you guys up there in the box, but we have been sweating down here. And although you may think it's because of the major heat we've been having, the 100-degree weather in Orange, California, no. It's the heat coming from the teams behind me, the Pacific Boxers and the Chapman Panthers, because of there has been some major unfinished business from last year. Now, before we get into that, I talked to Chapman's quarterback coach Leahy about this game. Let's hear what he has to say. Let's roll it. We got to talk about the returning 2014 team. Now, you were the star quarterback for that team, which was the first team to bring Chapman to that SCIAC championship. How is it now having your team come back? Are you excited for it?
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. We should have over 50-plus players here today, and they're all going to be up in the presidential suite enjoying themselves, as well as being back on campus, seeing everyone. I've already seen a bunch of people today, so it's super exciting. We had a really good team, and we were the first SCIAC championships to bring it to Chapman, so we're excited to keep building on that and hopefully get another one this year.
No, for real. I mean, now you're the coach, you're a quarterback coach, and So we got to talk a little bit more about our quarterback, which is Luke Peterman. Now, compared to last year, you had 3 quarterbacks. How is navigating all those 3, and now you have Luke Peterman? How is that now?
Yeah, so Luke did a tremendous job coming in last year, and he did a tremendous job through spring as well as during camp. He was voted a team captain, which is great for him. But yeah, we have a lot of QB competition. We got great quarterbacks on the roster. We have 5 quarterbacks, and all of them bring unique things to the team, and they're all a huge asset to us. So yeah, we're excited to have Luke start today, as well as we have some other options as well.
I'm super excited and looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's go Panthers.
Go Panthers. Go Panthers. There we go. There we are. Perfect.
So excited to see what the Chapman Panthers have in store with us. Thank you so much, Coach Leahy, once again. But my name is Caroline Chang, now sending it back up to you guys in the booth. Nico, Justin.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for that hit, and a special thanks to Coach Leahy. We know that he's a very busy man, but now, as we take a look at what's happening in this game, the sun is starting to set, Justin, but that just means that the stars only shine brighter, and these key players will start on the Pacific side. They're the ones that have to shine the brightest tonight, and it all starts with Brody Bantalina in the backfield.
Absolutely. Brody, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. This is our guy right here, Brody Bantalina. This guy led this offense to second overall in the entire conference. That's why their offense is so great with this running attack. 895 rush yards, 9 touchdowns, 5.9 yards per carry. Dangerous in open space. You got to watch out for this guy indeed.
Indeed, they do. And he's really the catalyst of this offense. He's the one that has to carry the load after all that he did last season. He was a first-team all-conference player. But now we're going to turn it down to the field where we have the national anthem just about to commence.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed, at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And a fantastic rendition of the anthem from Lauren Wildauer. But now we have to take a look at what this coin toss has in store. Obviously, it's the opening game of this season, and it's no better way than to set the tone than with exactly what you want. And what would you say for the Chapman Panthers? They're trying to defend their title. You think they put out their #1 defense, or are they sending out Luke Peterman and the offense to get things started off, Justin?
Well, if you want to be aggressive, then you obviously go get the ball first. Why not? But I think for them, it's just be a little bit conservative. Obviously, you're working with some newer players this season, but there's a lot of veterans on the team. So I feel like Bob Owens is an aggressive guy. He'll take this ball if he gets the chance to.
Absolutely, he will. We saw a bunch of different trick plays trying to go with
Gentlemen,
a lot
welcome
of
to tonight's
quarterback runs
Division
last
III
year.
football
He's not a
game
guy
between
who's
Pacific and Chapman. Pacific, you are the
afraid of
visiting
doing.
team. The football is heads. The logo is tails. What's your call, sir? Tails. His call is tails. That is tails. Pacific has won the first half toss. They have elected to defer their choice to the second half. They will kick from the clock. Gentlemen, shake hands. Let's have a great football game. Good luck.
So the Chapman Panthers will indeed receive the ball first after Pacific wins the toss and elects to defer. How do you think that plays out in favor of either of these sides?
Well, now you get to see this Pacific defense, who obviously we talked about the inexperience. We're going to talk about another defensive guy in just a second for Pacific that we need to keep track of because he's going to be big. big in this conference. They're going to need him a lot.
Well, on that inexperienced defense, it's none other than the very experienced Hunter Brown, who's going to be at the heart of it all for the Pacific Boxers on that defensive side. In the front seven, had 64 tackles last season, was first in the team, 6th in the conference, also had 7 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits to go along with it. He is the one to watch for Luke Peterman in the middle of that defense. As we say, that middle linebacker is the quarterback of every single defense that everyone has to keep an eye out for. He surely is one of those guys, Justin.
Absolutely. 6 foot, 230 pounds coming at you. That's a big guy coming at you with that type of speed, size, and agility. That's why he's second all NWC. He's going to be a huge piece of this team, like we said, and they're going to have to be aggressive out the doors against this Panthers team.
Well, he's the one to watch on the Pacific side, but now we have to talk about the guy who's coming in as the reigning SCIAC Defensive Player of the Year for Chapman, none other than Cade Jordan. What do you have to tell about the guy with the hair, Justin?
Well, I mean, this guy, if you don't check over your shoulder, he's going to come flying at you, and by the time you see his hair flying at you, you're done for. This guy is dangerous. 58 tackles last season, 11 of those for tackles for loss, 11 of them 2 forced fumbles, a force to be reckoned with that duo of Alex Chiriquez. This defense is dangerous because they keep a lot of their veteran talent. This guy is just in his senior year. He's had 2 years experience. He's going to be a difference maker.
Well, he is the guy to look out for. Was not only one of the best players on this team in the conference, he was one of the best players in all of the Western region. Definitely someone that Pacific needs to keep their eye out for. As for the offensive side of the ball, it's none other than number 8, Amir Adams. You see the lightning there. You see the thunder. This guy's the definition of lightning in a bottle. Was 3rd in the SCIAC in receiving yards last year and was also 3rd in all-purpose yards as a wide receiver behind 2 running backs who dominated last season for Redlands and CMS. But Amir, just one of the nicest guys that you can meet, but on the field, he's just an absolute terror for opposing DBs.
He's dangerous, and he's a speed guy. We saw him work over the summer on that speed, that strength, that ability to go get the ball. Reason why he was comeback player of the year last year, and he's going to come in here flying with these numbers, but he's not the only dangerous piece on this team. John Lagaman, a lot of these guys are coming in. A lot of transfers have come into this team. They're going to be dangerous. You got to watch out for them.
Chapman lost a lot of guys, including a few all-conference players, but they've seemingly retooled nicely to set themselves up for another title run. And this opening kickoff is just moments away. We cannot wait here at Wilson Field. This crowd getting raucous, and we'll be right back after this break. And after that break, we're right back at it. And these Chapman Panthers, they're trying to get back at it once again. We'll talk a little bit about last year's matchup. 2023 was in Oregon, and it got suspended indefinitely after lightning struck in the middle of the 3rd quarter. But 2 years ago, you saw that the Chapman Panthers, they won 42-21 on this field, and they haven't lost 4 games against these Boxers in the time that they have played them, Justin.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is that 2 years ago, that's when Bob Owens got his 100th win in his entire career. He's got a chance to do it here with this Chapman Panthers team and cement himself as one of the greatest coaches in Chapman history. Last year, obviously because of NCAA rules, you can't finish a game unless you get to the end of the 3rd quarter. That's exactly what didn't happen. But they were dominating all the way through that game until that point. And you could argue that they could have used that win to get into the playoffs, but it was that grit, that ability to come back from the lowdown and come all the way back and win a Sky Championship. And now they have a chance to start off really, really strong this season.
Well, we've yet to talk about it, but it was that scenario. They could have won up 1-0. They were up on the Pacific Boxers in that season, and now they started 0-3 last year, had a gritty performance to get back to 4-3, and then they found themselves back in the middle of it all. But there was the guy at the head of it all, Bob Owens. He's the one who had the confidence, had the experience to right the ship and put these Panthers back on cruise control as Tyler Like gets us kicked off here at Wilson Field. Brendan Manzano taking it out, stays up and gets pounded inside, just inside the 15-yard line. And the Pacific bench already loving it. A good start for them on special teams to kick off the game.
Absolutely. And you talked about the aggressiveness that they had to come out flying through the doors on this Pacific on the special teams coverage. Beautiful, beautiful stuff right there. Brendan Mazzano this season, his first time actually really doing a lot of the returner stuff. Jason Bruce was actually supposed to be our guy on kickoff, but it looks like they went with the punt return and Brendan Mazzano.
So we'll get our first look at the guy at the middle of it all, Luke Peterman. Great feel-good story. QB3 last year, all the way up to QB1. He wins the starting job this offseason. 2 running backs in the backfield next to him with Orsino and Huss. Play action to Ursino. Now going deep for it. Loggeman getting tugged. No flag out there.
Wow.
Chapman calling for the penalty. The crowd clearly upset, and it did look like there was a little bit of a tug there near the end, but Loggeman unsuccessful on the first play. A gutty call from Bob Owens on this first play.
Absolutely. You saw Zion Booker really putting the pressure on John Loggeman as he was going downfield. They did the play action pass, trying to find his man downfield, open up the game with a nice starter, but it just seemed like there was a little bit of push, but it's close. It is very close, but he did get his head around. I think that was a clean enough call to make.
So now the true starters out there for the Panthers. Peterman with Ursino just to his right. Will hand it off to his bell cow, and Ursino gets stuffed immediately. A gain of about 2. And this offensive line is something that we'll have to keep an eye out for, not only in this game, but for the rest of the season. For the past 2 seasons, it's been roughly the same unit, a few all-conference players. Now, Gavin Scott, the only returner on this team, along with 4 other sophomores making their first starts for the Panthers.
That's right. Lane Forte on the left tackle, Luke Jones in the middle, Teddy Butner, Colin Brophy. Those are all newer guys. They're a little bit undersized compared to this Pacific defense. That front line, 310 pounds is the nose tackle for this squad.
Single back formation for the Panthers. Biebel goes in motion. Compact are all the receivers. Peterman steps up. Peterman gonna run, go for the first down. Did he get it? Yes, he did. The chains will move. And we saw that quite a bit last season. It wasn't necessarily him who we'd expect. Nathaniel Espinoza last year, Tyler Pacheco, who actually made the move to wide receiver this year. They were the primary running quarterbacks for the Panthers, but we saw it time in and time again. Bob Owens asking Peterman down the stretch, can you use your legs? And he stepped up to the table just like he did there to get that first down.
Yeah, Pacific went a little bit more conservative on the defensive side. They had everybody cover up. So what did Peterman do? Go out of the pocket, do it himself, get the first yard, reset the chains.
Huss back in there as Ursino works from the left. Handoff to Gio. Breaks 1 tackle, but gets very few. It'll be a gain of about 1.5 yards for Gio Ursino. The star running back for these Panthers comes in as a second-team all-conference player from last year, and he really split the time with Isaiah Woods last year. And who knows what this guy could have done if he was the primary back in this offense. Had over 500 yards splitting time as basically running back 1B and 1A with Woods. It was quite impressive to see, and now he gets the chance to be the guy in the backfield next to Peterman.
Absolutely, and he gets his chance to do that this season, especially in his last year he sat behind Isaiah Woods. He's back here again. Now he's got to work with Fisher Huss in the backfield, who's also a very talented running back.
So ball back to Ursino. Gonna gain a few more this time. Bodies flying around. It looks like number 5, Zion Booker, back in the mix of things, along with Avon Tanioka, making his first appearance of his career. Did not play last year as a freshman. Now, as a sophomore, makes his first ever appearance in the middle of that field next to Hunter Brown, one of our key players of the game.
Absolutely, and they're trying to work the run game right now. Chapman is trying to get this thing going so they can work with the play action pass down the field like they did on that first play that didn't work out. We'll see what happens here.
So ball out wide, Ursino tracked down by number 23. Rylan Mai, the safety, converted from a linebacker, now makes his first ever appearance as a junior. Not just a start, but as an appearance. As we take a look at that, good pursuit from Mai, but enough from Ursino, and that's 2 quick first downs on 3rd down from the Panthers, something that was of heavy emphasis for them last year, converting on 3rd downs and moving the chains forward.
That nearly could have been a bad play, too. Peterman kind of overthrew Ursino, but good job from Ursino to rebalance himself, reset his hands, and get that football out. If they didn't, they'd be punting this ball away.
So we've been seeing a lot of Amir Adams lined up in isolation on one side, Bruce and Loggeman on the other at the top of your screen right now. Peterman drops back, looking for Adams. He has him wide open. Adams down the sideline, fends off a man. And Amir Adams in for 6. House call for number 8. And that's how you open up a season right there.
Oh, man, you could talk about the jinx on that one. You were talking about Amir Adams, and all of a sudden he finds himself in the end zone. He lost his man, Torrance Satana Ellis, out of Kanawaya High School. Sophomore, only had 3 tackles last year. The inexperience is coming in here for Pacific, and when you match up against a guy like Amir Adams, he will find an open space.
Just left wide open right there, and you cannot do it against a guy like Amir Adams, one of the premier receivers in the conference. and he's proven once again why he belongs on that list. Jax Hudson gets his first extra point, and that's also another storyline that we're going to have to touch on a little bit later, a completely new special teams unit. But as you take a look at this throw, just immediate out of the gun from Peterman, and Sada Ellis just found himself on an island and didn't know where Amir Adams had left him in the dust.
Absolutely, and then you saw McKenna Barcelona on the back end trying to get the tackle. Obviously, Amir Adams had the awareness to step up, keep his balance, and get in there for the score. And again, this is that dangerous part of this Chapman Panthers offense. That's why they're trying to set up the run, get to the play action pass, and get it downfield. Quick strikes is the name of the game for this Panthers offense.
So 69 passing yards on the opening drive for Peterman. 58 of those on the lightning strike throw to Amir Adams to open up the scoring. Just under 4 minutes gone here in this first quarter. And Chapman already up 7-0, as we'll get our first look at the Pacific offense now, who really was middle of the pack last year. Let's see what this special teams unit can produce for them in terms of field position.
And this is probably on this first drive where you start to see where that time of possession comes into play here. Like you said, over the years, Pacific has really dominated in time of possession because they run the ball a lot more, less explosive playability. Chapman loves the explosive play. That's why you'll see a little bit less of that time of possession on their sheet.
So Hudson off, here we go. Back to receive is Brody Bansalina. And Bansalina with a little bit of room cuts to the sideline and will get taken down just inside the 25. That being Jacob Gowdy out there. The new starting safety out there for the Chapman Panthers, a big storyline heading into this season. Roman Harden, the freshman phenom for last year, decided to try his luck going to Saddleback College, potentially at a potential move up to the D1 level. Now Jacob Gowdy gets the call to play alongside all-conference player Colin Keefe in the backfield.
That's right, brother of Wyatt Harden, one of the Chapman legends here at this school, taking a chance to try to go to a Division I program. He had 3 interceptions in that Sky Championship game last year. That's a big loss for this team. But Jacob Gowdy now gets his chance to step up in that spot.
And now we get our first look at Braden Titus. Going to throw on the first play, and just a bit of a miscommunication there from him and Christian Carmichael, his 6'3" wide receiver out on the outside. Carmichael played in 6 games last year for 2 catches and 10 yards. A very inexperienced wide receiver room for these Boxers. Their top 2 wide receivers gone after walking the stage, and their top returning guy, Kai Bookland, out with injury it seems. And now it's going to be up to Titus to try and organize this offense after closing out last year as the starter.
And those are a lot of guys with a lot of good experience, so this team is a little bit low on the experience part right now with the wide receiver core.
So 2 quick passes, gets it off to Chaffin. Taken down by Kay Jordan from behind. Also in on the play was Tate Zimmerman, one of the new transfers out of New Mexico State for the Panthers. But a bit of a surprising move from Ian Falconer. You expected the run game that was number 2 in the Northwest Conference, led by Bansalina, to come out of the gates and try and establish the tone. But it's been quick fire. If you want to go long with the ball, Bob Owens, I'll come right back at you. And so far, Pacific with an early first down. Now Titus going to hand it off to his bell cow. Bansalina cuts outside, taken down immediately. Colin Keefe right in the backfield. Devin Cobb also coming in on the tackle very late. But that's going to be the big thing for the Panthers going forward, is stopping Bansalina and forcing that ball into the air from Titus.
Absolutely, and yeah, Colin Keefe is out here as a D-back, strong safety, also can convert into that linebacker spot, so he can come and be run support. Got good penetration on the last play to keep Bansalina from getting onto the outside perimeter.
So we'll see what this offense has in store going forward. 5 DBs out there for the Panthers. And they rush with 5. Titus almost picked off. Just out of bounds was Carmichael. Flying dive from Kyle Sieben. We saw 3 interceptions out of him last year, the junior, making his presence felt immediately in this game.
Yeah, you got to be careful if you're going to throw it in Kyle Sieben's zip code area, because he's going to come flying anywhere. The 2 best players on this defense last year, Kyle Sieben and Harden, this was the reason why this Chapman secondary is one of the best in the entire conference.
Well, Sieben, he's listed as a linebacker, but it feels like he can play almost anywhere on the field. Can play safety, can play on the defensive line. We only see 2 of them out there right now. Isaiah Munoz along with Tyler Hill on the outside, joined by Sieben and Cade Jordan. A bit of movement up front, it looks like, as the play will get blown dead. And we'll see what the first call.
Game, offense, 5-yard penalty, third down.
So a delay of game, Joseph Finley, the referee of tonight's matchup, delivering the call. But already, the Chapman defense, it's imposing. It was the #1 defense in the SCIAC for a reason last year, and so far Pacific having a few problems with them on these past few plays.
And usually when you have those delay of games, this is when the sideline has to start counting down the play clock and make sure that their team that's on the field knows if the clock is running down, you got to get that ball off.
So third down and long. 2 receivers to Titus's left, now 2 on his right. Goes for the short to Chaffin, and Chaffin has a little bit of room, but stopped immediately by Tariquez as the rest of the Panthers come in to feast.
And you see where that penalty kind of killed their drive a little bit. They were trying to get it out on the outside, trying to pick up those sticks. Now it's 4th down. They had to figure something out. So those penalties are going to be big. They cannot have these drives stop because of these penalties.
So Jackson Green will go out there for the first time to punt this ball away to Amir Adams. We weren't exactly sure who the returners would be. There was a mixture of Adams, Manzano, along with Bruce, the trio of wide receivers. But it looks like it's going to be the man who just caught the opening touchdown of this season to try and put Chapman back in better position. Skying ball. Adams has a little bit of room to maneuver with. Adams now cuts out just beyond the 30. And the Chapman fans enjoying that one. A flag near the near side of the field.
I like Amir Adams on the kick return. Obviously got a couple moves, very reminiscent of Bacata. Putting it out there, a little bit of fiesta, put some dance moves. You saw a lot of really good coverage from this Panthers kick return team. This was actually a really nice punt. Being a guy who used to punt, that's beautiful.
41.
My goodness, I could watch that
10-yard penalty.
We see the entire coverage team has got their blocks assigned, and Amir Adams has got enough talent to really move around, find a hole there. Not a bad start.
So Bison Vasquez, the freshman out of Puyallup, Washington, will pick up his first penalty of the season on the kick return for Adams. Panthers will move back a few as they start off this second drive. And we saw a lot of it last year. It was very methodical, pounding the ball through the ground with Woods, and Ursino. But it was all, let's just go full for the end zone, full force. And they almost got it on the first play with Loggeman, and then eventually found Adams. What do you expect out of the second drive from Owens?
Well, if it works the first time, why not try to do it again? If it doesn't, then try to stick to that run game and start doing those quick RPOs.
Fake off to Huss, and he's got Loggeman open for an extra gain. Loggeman giving a little stiff arm in the face to Zion Booker. And Chapman immediately out of the gates with a little bit of physicality. We heard from Ian Falconer, head coach of the Boxers, earlier this week. They want to play a physical brand of football. So far, though, it's been the Panthers who've used not only power, but also finesse to have their way on the offensive side of the ball.
And they struggled last year. Pacific's defense struggled a lot, mostly on 4th and 5th in conversions. They were middle of the pack last season. They wanted to change that, and that's the idea that Ian Falconer wants to do. But he's got a tough challenge with these Panthers.
And Huss almost went out wide. Pacific claiming they got the ball, and it looks like they do.
Wow.
Just an unfortunate play right there. It looked like Huss went out to the left.
The ruling is on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense. First down, Pacific.
And it indeed is a fumble. So all the momentum that the Panthers had just built up killed in an instant as Ursino just got caught on the wrong side of Peterman. And now a little bit of a landline for this Pacific team after a disappointing first drive. The Chapman offense looking a bit stunned right now, Justin.
Well, there was just a miscommunication there. I think Ursino was thinking it was going to be a run play, and then he sees Peterman trying to throw the ball on the outside on his wide receiver screen, and then Ursino tries to reach for the ball and then knocks it out of Peterman's hand as he was trying to throw it out.
So Titus gets his chance right back out of the gate and going to go right to his bell cow, and Bantalina will pick up a solid game of 5. Brody Bantalina coming from the Islands, one of 48 players from Hawaii on this Pacific side. Had over 100 yards a game on 6 yards per carry. And just overall was a menace to be reckoned with. Had 3 games over 100 rush yards. And in that finale against George Fox, where Pacific lost 42-45 in a thriller, he had over 100 scrimmage yards to go along with that one.
He does everything for this team. He's going to need to do more and capitalize on the mistake that the Panthers just made.
Titus with the clap, looks right, fires, and a nice move there from Tyler Penn to get away from Seth Holbrook, excuse me. Holbrook comes in as a senior, 6 foot, out of Orange, California, right here, native to the city. But it was Tyler Penn who put the moves on to pick up that first down, and now Pacific starting to find a little bit of a groove, and that's exactly what a turnover can do. We saw it last year with the Panthers. They didn't get much going in the beginning of the season when they struggled to force those turnovers. Afterwards, they absolutely surged forward to a SCIAC title. Now Bantzline out to the right. 2 receivers out to Titus's left. Chapman brings pressure. Titus right over the top. Rennick Martin was lurking around the area as it went through the hands of number 5, Cole Weber. And a penalty down at the 30-yard line in the backfield.
You see 2 different wide receivers.
Holding. Offense, number 58. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
So Canale Coelho
Correction, first down.
will be pulling back the play. It will be first down and 10 for the Pacific Boxers. But as you were saying, Justin, these receivers for Pacific just seemingly struggling a little bit out of the gate to find that extra yardage and gear.
Right, and they've got to spread out this Panthers defense a little bit more. They got to be careful of these D-backs. Every single one of these DBs for this Panthers team has got experience. So you got to be careful because they understand the game itself.
Chapman brings pressure once again. Now again, when it's out to Weber, who gets taken down just about at the 25-yard line. Number 26, Tate Zimmerman on the tackle.
I like this play call from the Pacific sideline. Alex Tariquez coming in, flying on the blitz. They pick it up, and Braden Titus, all poised, just throws it out to his man on that screen, sets it up. Just get at least try to get back to the line of scrimmage to make this easier so they can try to make that conversion.
So Tate Zimmerman with his second tackle of the day. The D1 transfer out of New Mexico State has big shoes to fill after Hunter Headley walked the stage last year. Titus looks left, going inside, and just through the hands once again, Riley Camarillo unable to come up with that one. And so far, a few missed balls from the wide receivers of this Pacific side, and Braden Titus has to be looking over at that bench and wondering, what else can I do?
He did throw this a little bit on the inside. I think he wanted Camarillo to come back into the middle of the seams between the hashes. Just flies right through his hands. Again, Camarillo and Weber, those 2 guys have little experience with this offense. They're going to have to work with having the absence of Kai Bookland not there.
So now 3rd and 12 from the 25 for Pacific. Handoff to Bantalina. Bantalina get taken down just inside the 20. But a flag on the near side in the backfield area. Chapman calling for a holding from their fans right now. We'll see if that's the call.
Holding. Offense, number 20. 10-yard penalty. Third down.
So indeed it is. Pacific will be sent back another 10 yards to make it 3rd and plenty long. And now what seemed like would be in field goal territory, all of a sudden, now they really need to find some extra yardage to find themselves back and trying to put up some points on the board.
Yeah, they call this one against number 20, Bowden Griffith, sophomore out of Tualatin, Oregon. Also another inexperienced player for this Pacific offense.
Titus, 3 receivers out to his left, gets pressure from Tariquez, and ball lofted up and almost picked off there by Holbrook. So the Chapman defense missing a few opportunities of their own, but it seems like the punting unit will be out there once again for the Pacific Boxers.
And you see the little smile from Holbrook there, and he just kind of missed it a little bit. Obviously, there's a reason why he's a DB and not a wide receiver. Kind of goes through the gloves just a tiny bit. But there's nothing wrong with that. You still get off this field. They're going to have to punt away. Give Amir Adams a chance.
Well, you know his teammates may have had a little chuckle after that one. Green gets that one off in time. Adams will call a fair catch. And Pacific unable to keep it out of the back of the end zone. So solid field position for the Panthers on this ensuing drive. And now Peterman comes out after that miscommunication with Ursino. It has to be short-term memory for these guys out here on the offense, and we'll see what happens with them. We didn't see a lot of two-back sets from Bob Owens last year with Woods and Ursino. We've seen it already a few times on these first two drives with Huss joining Ursino in the backfield. What more can you tell us about that and how that plays into Chapman's strategy in the run game?
Well, then obviously Coach Owens has that experience from Oregon. That's the type of offense that they run. They like to spread out the defense. That's why they do those two running back sets. Right now, obviously, Ursino's in the backfield, but to use those two different backs, you confuse the defense a little bit. And then when you have an athletic quarterback like Peterman who can run on the outside, Pacific's got to run their head everywhere, so they're going to be confused no matter what.
Bruce will take the jet sweep, and Bruce got a little bit of room. Jason Bruce taken down just inside Pacific's 45. And you could say it's a little bit of trickery, but right now that just seems like a commonality for the Chapman Panthers. But
Yeah.
Jason Bruce, sprinter on the outside, he's been a guy that offensive coordinator Casey Shine has had a lot of good things to say about throughout camp, and they expect him to really be the breakout star of this year on the offensive side.
No, he's really come out here. There's a flag on the field.
Looks like Adams jumped a little bit on the
False
flinch
start.
from the set.
Offense. Number 8. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And indeed, Adams will be the one biting his tongue in cheek for that one.
Now, you don't really see that from a guy like Amir Adams with that type of experience. But going back to Bruce, and yeah, the coaches were raving about this guy last year. He kind of came into towards the late part of the season. When he came to the Sky Championship game, he got a touchdown. He had 3 last year. 49 was the longest one. But it's about that speed. All of these wide receivers have speed all over this perimeter. That's why you saw that jet sweep pass that they just tried against this defense, and it worked. And we're talking about the type of offense that Chapman runs. They love to spread out the defense.
Handoff to Ursino once again. We'll get a gain of a few on the next rush right there for Chapman's number 20. Ursino, just a guy who's very physical, a guy who's not afraid to get his head in the mud and be in there with the big boys. And this is a D-line for Pacific who's not very experienced, Justin. They have had a little bit of experience playing in a few games here and then, but really, for all these 3 down linemen on the line against this inexperienced offensive line for Chapman, they're all making some of their first starts ever as well. Peterman in the gun, looks short and gets Adams. Adams runs right into Colin Brophy. The sophomore right tackle just got in the way of his senior receiver.
And early in these games, you're going to have those growing pains. But Colin Brophy, I think he was just trying to set up a block here in front of Adams, and he just kind of messed up the timing just a tad bit. You see he's trying to get to the guy on the outside, but he gets through. Good penetration for the Pacific defense to really confuse the offense on that.
Well, you have to like the pursuit so far from the Pacific defense. Overall, besides the offensive rushing game, this team was very middle of the pack in their conference. But so far, coming out of the gates, have had a few things to hold their hat onto, despite giving up that early touchdown. Peterman met in the backfield immediately and dragged down. Just an unbelievable play there from number 17, Nehemiah Faleulu out of Tacoma, Washington. Has a little bit of hair flying out from the back of his helmet, just like Cade Jordan. And 2 drives after the first touchdown for the Panthers go nowhere, as we'll see our first action of the new punter for the Chapman Panthers, Carson Nichols, coming from Eastern Kentucky, the D1 transfer. So Nichols off and away to Chaffin, as that ball will sail out just around the 27-yard line. decent position for Pacific. And now you have a minute 39 left in this first quarter, Justin. Haven't been able to get much on the board going for them. If we take a look at what Pacific did last season, they were 2-5 in the conference. We're 2-7 overall. They lost 4 of their games by 7 or fewer points. What can they do to try and find that extra gear and potentially come up with an upset win here tonight?
Well, it's about the efficiency of this offense. They really have to be consistent everywhere. The rushing, the passing, the ability to get these guys open. They were 6th in their conference last year, 14 of 170 attempts to get first down yardage.
Definitely needs to improve here on this third drive. Titus, handoff to Bantalina, met in the backfield. Looks like that was number 26 back there for the Chapman Panthers, Tate Zimmerman. The Irvine product just getting in there as well as Kyle Sieben finding his way along with Zach Collins, one of the new captains for the Chapman defense. Chapman brings pressure. Titus pump fakes. Now has a wide open Tyler Penn. Tyler Penn down into Chapman territory. And now Pacific starting to find a little bit of a groove as Titus seems to come into his own here in this first quarter.
And he's going to have to step up this year. And obviously, last year he had to sit behind Ryan Helt, number 10 for this team. 1,193 yards, 6 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. It was pretty much a quarterback by committee room for this offense. He's got to step up this season.
Once again off to Bantalina. And Bantalina, not much there on that play. We're going to talk a lot tonight about Braden Titus. Obviously, as the quarterback of this situation, he came in for Ryan Helt last year, around the midway mark of last season. Didn't have much success in the win column, but definitely found himself as one of the premier quarterbacks in the Northwest Conference. Back again to Bantalina, who scrapples his way for an extra few yardage. And now it'll be a third and four.
That is the end of the first quarter.
As the end of the first quarter commences here at Wilson Field. Chapman up 7-0 after the opening period. Overall, you have to say that it's been a very solid move for the Panthers, especially after that opening quarter.
Absolutely, and they're keeping Bantalina down to an average of just under 4 yards a carry every single run that he's got. And the Panthers have to capitalize on these mistakes because we've seen a couple of them, but they have to really fix that.
Absolutely, and we'll be right back after this quick break here with CSBN. So 3rd and 5 for the Pacific Boxers to open up this second quarter. They go to Chaffin on the jet sweep of their own. It'll be close near that 4th down marker. We'll see if Josiah Chaffin, coming out of Honolulu, Hawaii, one of those many Hawaiian natives on this Pacific side. And it looks like they got it.
Absolutely. Josiah Chafin probably has the most experience on this entire wide receiver core. 13 receptions last year, 137 yards, 1 touchdown along at 30 yards. He's going to be that guy. Engineering and physics is his major, so he's going to need to use Newton's first law, second law to figure things out against this Panthers defense.
Goes in motion once again, but this time off to Bansalina. And Brody Bansalina breaks a tackle all the way to the end zone. Burst of speed for number 9. And Pacific, in the blink of an eye, finds themselves just 1 point behind Chapman here in this one.
We knew it was going to happen eventually. We knew Bansalina was going to come out into a break point and get by this entire Panthers defense and get on the outside and rush all the way for a score, and that's exactly what happens here.
Well, that's not spontaneous at all if you look at what he did last season, and he is on absolute fire right now. Had a little bit of trouble in that first quarter to get going, but already out of the second quarter, just flipped the field, and he finds his rhythm off the bat.
Absolutely. He had a few kerfuffles there, but now he figured it out.
And as you can see, just found his rhythm off the jet sweep from the previous play and just got through the tackle of Rennick Martin. Just couldn't find his way through, and Bansalina does the rest to tie this game up at 7 apiece. One thing to mention for this Pacific side, they averaged 37.6 points per game over their last 5 games. Surprisingly though, even with all those points on the board, they seemingly managed to win only just one of those games against Puget Sound. It was really just not their year last year, despite being in a lot of those games as we mentioned before.
And the big thing about that is really just the defense. They were fifth in total defense in the entire conference. Even though that is kind of mid-tier in their conference, it wasn't enough to really do enough against this team. 21 sacks last year, 12 interceptions, 9 forced fumbles. They have to turn that narrative around. Coach Faulkner knows that indeed for himself. You know, teams, they don't win championships unless they have a good defense.
So Tyler Like will go out there once again for another kickoff, this time with 7 points on his back. As it looks like it'll be Bruce and Manzano back there for the kick return. So there's your answer. Amir Adams seems to be on the punts. Manzano and Bruce will handle the kickoffs for Bob Owen's side, at least in this matchup, going forward. Over to Manzano, who gets it just beyond the touchline. Brendan Manzano, quick changes burst. And Brendan Manzano still going just past the 35 near the Pacific sideline. And a good burst of speed for the sophomore wide receiver out of Washington.
Well, now the Panthers have to come out here and respond. Great job from Manzano to find some open space, made it a little bit of a couple of dead leg moves, finding himself some space.
And now the Panthers come back out once again. 2 rough drives for them on these past few. As it looks like we'll get a look at some of the new wide receivers. Manzano also out there with former quarterback Tyler Pacheco. And at the top of your screen, Cade Zimmerman, one of the Zimmerman twins to come over from New Mexico State. Joining on the outside. Got a little tripped up and almost picked off there on the outside. Joseph Taylor, Pete was just over there.
Yeah, it was good coverage from Pate on a guy like Cade Zimmerman, who's coming in here for the first time as a Chapman Panther. Didn't get his head turned around enough. 6'3", 185 pounds. They're just working him into this offense, trying to figure it out. But watch out for this guy. This guy has absolute speed. You can describe him as a Justin Jefferson type of player.
Well, he's 6'3". He gives that high point ball receiver that the Panthers have really lacked over these past few years. Peterman, 2 in the backfield. Rolls out to his weak side, looking for Manzano, lost his man. Jesse Strode was found in no man's land. Manzano still going, just about to the 37-yard line. Jesse Strode, not a defensive back to be taken lightly, had 4 picks last season, was really the catalyst of this Boxers secondary last year, but Manzano put in on the moves. And so far, some good plays out of the sophomore to get this game going.
Absolutely. He made a nice move, cutting to the inside, causing Strode to turn around. And as soon as he turned around, Manzano turned outside and immediately made himself open, available to Peterman.
So Peterman off to Huss. And Huss will get tripped up in the backfield. Number 23, Rylan Mai, the safety.
Great job from Maive to wrap up on a guy like Fisher Hush. He's dangerous. This guy last year from Troy High School, sophomore, coming in here, 5'11", 200 pounds, had 3 games, 3 attempts, 52 yards. last year, only 1 touchdown. Just a little bit of a miscommunication, but we look at the previous play from Mazzano earlier, put in the moves out here. And again, it's about the depth of this Panthers wide receiver room. There's a lot of weapons on this squad.
Peterman off to Ursino, gets a block in front of him, goes airborne. And Zion Booker with a little flex of the muscles after that tackle. But so far, the duality of this team for the Panthers, being able to use both of those running backs coming into full effect so far in this game. Zimmerman still out there at the top of your screen. We haven't seen much of him after the near pick from Taylor Pate. But also in the game for the first time, Tyler Pacheco, the former quarterback, definitely something that we're going to keep our eye out for. We thought maybe if he's going to switch positions, maybe he goes to running back with his running prowess on that side of the ball. But now out wide at wide receiver becomes an option for his successor in Peterman. Now Peterman takes the snap, drops back, pressure coming, has Biebel picked off. Anthony Lopez with a little spin on the ball will get some unnecessary celebration penalty. But just undercut Biebel right there, and right now, Pacific has things working for them on all cylinders.
A small mistake there from Peterman, and last year he had no interceptions whatsoever. Gets his first of his entire career here as quarterback for the Chapman Panthers. It was a little underthrown to Quinn Biebel.
Well, Peterman usually an
After the
accurate
play,
quarterback.
unsportsmanlike conduct on intercepting team number 0. That's his first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. 15-yard penalty, first down Pacific.
Well, here you can see Lopez just undercut it, almost bobbled it, but got his hands around it. You have to wonder, though, was that really the necessary move right there to spin that ball in front of Biebel, pick up the extra 15 yards that push you back, and now you're back at your own 11-yard line instead of the 26. Maybe gives a little bit of life to the Panthers to try and go after a safety or make a big play on Titus.
Absolutely, but the big thing on that last throw was just the fact that Quinn Biebel's a tall guy. You got to throw this ball over his head. Don't throw it just speeding it out.
Now Chaffin breaks one tackle, and now he's got room to run. Chaffin spins around Gowdy down to the 29, and they gain that yardage right back. Josiah Chaffin really putting it on, listed as the wide receiver 4 on this roster. But so far, he's been playing like a wide receiver 1 for Braden Titus and Ian Falconer.
Yeah, look at this nice moves right here. It seems like all the momentum is in Pacific's hands right now after that interception. They're really fired up.
Chapman bringing pressure once again. Mantalina gets smacked right in the mouth right there. Few linebackers in the mix. Cade Jordan, Zechariah Dunham, one of the new transfers on the D-line for these Chapman Panthers. Coming in as a grad student, making his first appearances of this game.
Yeah, transfer from Santa Ana College all the way to Missouri Valley College. 19 games, 42 tackles, 4 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. Another big piece for the Panthers defense on that front 4 who lost a couple of guys last year.
Yeah.
They're going to have to turn to them, that experience.
Tyler Hardigan now missing some all-conference players for them. Gone. We'll see what this D-line has in store. Titus pulls it back, goes for Tyler Penn, picked off by Devin Cobb. Cade Jordan with the little jarring.
Ruling on the field.
At Tyler Penn
by the defense.
after that play.
First down,
and Chapman snags it right back. Some interesting interceptions. But Devin Cobb somehow found his hands on it, and the 2022 second team all-conference player gets his first pick of the season.
Well, Tyler Penn has been doing pretty good so far. This ball's just kind of thrown behind him, and Devin Cobb says, thank you very much. I'll take that. And again, another interception. Panthers get the ball back. Momentum swing. Hopefully they can do something with this now. But credit to Devin Cobb for really sticking with that receiver, just being there, being a presence. And this guy has to really step up this year in place of a lot of other really nice D-backs for this Chapman Panthers team.
Well, he was injured for about 4 games last season. Wasn't necessarily the same player that he was 2 years ago. Now finds himself back in the starting lineup opposite of Rennick Martin, making his presence felt in this second quarter. Now Peterman back out there. Biebel lines up with a block for Ursino. Ursino hurdles a few guys and gets out to about the 40, a pickup about 5 for Gio Ursino. Now up to about 15 yards on the game, Justin.
Yeah, and the big thing here on these drives is to really start getting on that run game once again. They tried the passing. Obviously, they got the interception earlier against Pacific. Pacific got the ball. Now you got to reestablish that run game so you can build up momentum. Right now, Ursino is only averaging 1.8 yards a carry. They got to turn that thing up.
Well, they're keeping him out here, as the top 3 receivers are also out there for the Panthers. Logman wide open in the seam, and Gian Logman turns the corner all the way into the end zone. 11 strikes heaven, and Chapman go back up by 6.
And we know about all the weapons on this team. Logman is just another one of those guys. Last year, we saw him really turn it up in the beginning of the season. Didn't see much of him towards the end, but now he gets his first touchdown of the year. Made some really nice moves. This was a 4 goes on this play. Peterman looked around, found his 3rd read, handed it over to Logman, and he just did the rest.
So Hudson back out there for another extra point. Snap good, hold good. Kick up and good towards the Chapman dorms. So Hudson puts them up by 7. But a great find from Peterman using that patience. The O-line, that pocket presence was perfect from this young, feisty, scrappy offensive line, where we talked with Bob Owens earlier this week. That was kind of one of the bigger questions that he had. Can this young offensive line hold up? Only 1 returner in the starting unit, and so far, they've proven that they can handle some of the best. We'll see what happens when they have to go on the road, face CMS, Pomona, Cal Lu, whoever it may be. But in this opening matchup against Pacific, they're holding their own.
And they get their first touches of the year in this game. They have to learn how to be the guys the next step up and really be a force to be reckoned with. And we saw that a little bit. It seemed like they were juiced up by the interception earlier from Cobb, and then they turned it around, helped Ursino get some yards, and then they held in there for Peterman to find his man downfield.
So Bantalina and Penn also back there for the kick. Hudson will get us off and going once again. Chapman now at 14-7 in what seems like it might be a close one. But Chapman, against these Pacific boxers, usually finds a way to pull away by a few more. Bantalina all the way out and will get taken down around the 18. Colin Keefe around the play alongside number 3, Jacob Gowdy. Covering not only on the defensive side, but on the special teams unit. A do-it-all guy. You love to see that if you are Bob Owens and the rest of this coaching staff.
And Colin Keefe is a guy who can play multiple different positions. Right now, obviously at the safety position, he can play linebacker, he can play edge rusher. Bob Owens loves these all-around talented guys on defense. And to put him on special teams too, if you want to wrap up a guy, you got to put your best guys with the hands.
So Titus comes back out there after the unfortunate pick. It was a little bit of that behind the back throw for Penn, who's out there on his right side. But a handoff to Kalai Passy, who gets his first, that's Lucas Voss, who's in for the first touches of the game. Went 37 rushes last year for 114 yards, 3.1 a carry. Now back out there for his senior year, trying to make an impact behind Bantalina in this running back room.
Yeah, this running back room is pretty deep. All of these guys actually have experience. You talked about Voss. Posse is a guy who's also, that we see him as kind of a power type of back. But you see the guy who he got tackled by, Kyle Sieben, another one of those all-around players for this Chapman Panthers defense.
Titus once again, and what a play by Tariquez! Don't flash your eyes, because Alex Tariquez, in the blink of an eye, just found himself in the backfield. I didn't even know what happened from up here in the booth. He just got back there so quickly.
He was sneaking up on the edge, on the outside, came through, busted coverage on the O-line, just came flying through. And again, that duo of Alex Tariquez and K. Jordan, it's tough to defend against when you have guys who make that type of penetration. 6.5 tackles for loss last year for Alex Tariquez. He gets his 20th tackle for loss in his entire career.
Titus looking to his left. He's got Chapman once again, and Cobb will deliver the hit. That was Riley Camarillo out there on the left side as Cobb delivered the tackle. But that's one of the scary things about Tariquez, was last year, you might even consider it a down year compared to what he put up in his sophomore season, where he was just an absolute menace on the field. And now, in his senior year, he's really the captain, the quarterback of this defense, the one who's going to be making and orchestrating all the plays from the middle of this Chapman defensive unit.
And why not? He's a senior too, just like Cade Jordan, second team All-SCIAC last year. You know, he talked about the step down. He's going to be a force to reckon with all the way through the schedule.
So pass out wide to Chapman, who's already found himself with the ball quite a bit in this first half. Josiah Chafin coming out of Honolulu, as we mentioned once before. He was really used as a utility wideout last year, 137 receiving yards, 38 rush yards, had a touchdown. But now, in this opening matchup, getting a bit more trust, a little bit more of the action from Ian Falconer in the playbook. Titus with Bantalina to his right. We'll give it off to him, and Bantalina finds a little bit of space. Brody Bantalina, 20, 10, 5, touchdown all the way to the house. Before you can even speak, Pacific right back in this game.
Before you could even breathe, he's already in the end zone. Found an open hole, took his chance, and full speed ahead. The Jets were flying for Bantalina. And again, another touchdown breakaway from Bantalina. They really got to keep an eye on this guy. And we talked about it before the game even started. He's going to be dangerous. This is the most dangerous weapon in the entire Northwestern Conference. And yet again, coming in here with his second rush touchdown of the game.
Just an unbelievable run. We'll get a flag on the extra point. And actually, excuse me, I believe, as I take a look at our stats, that was Kalai Passy.
The result of the play, the PAT was good. During the play, offsides, defense. That penalty declined. They'll keep the points. We'll have the kickoff.
It's kind of hard to see from this vantage point who that was in particular. But again, we talked about the depth of this running back room. Kalai Passy, look at that ability to get through.
Well, that does look like Bantalina, actually, number 9. So maybe our stats were a little bit off. Passy rocking number 8 this year.
No, we were right. We were right. It was definitely Bantalina. We're good there. Yeah, but again,
just checking.
Yeah, just checking ourselves. We're good. But Bantalina, again, going back to him, since obviously it was him, and you see that ability to run out there and that speed, that burst of speed is tough to defend. If you let him get out to open space, it's hard to catch a guy like that. And he got through the secondary pretty quickly.
As you take a look on your screen right now, the score is not 38-10 in favor of the Panthers. This is a tied game at 14 with 6:43 left in this second quarter. And Brody Bantalina, we expected him to carry the load, but so far he has been lightning in a bottle, a powder keg about to explode. And so far, 2 massive runs to get Pacific back in this game.
Well, that powder keg has exploded twice, hasn't it already?
Manzano trying to do the same on the kick returns. And he'll get taken down around the 30-yard line. Faleulu back again once with the action on the tackle.
Well, this is surprising. We didn't think it'd be like this by the time we got to the second quarter. Chapman usually kind of runs away with these things historically against this Pacific team, and now Pacific is answering back and forth against the Chapman Panthers team, against a formidable opponent in this SCIAC conference.
So now we'll see what Peterman and the offense has cooking out of that last break from Bantalina. We had questions coming in. Who would be the guy? We had a few D1 transfers come in, including Joey Yellen, who was number 63 in his class on the ESPN 300, went to 3 different D1 schools, but it's Luke Peterman back at the helm once again. Bruce will take off the sweep. This time, met immediately by Lopez, who got the pick earlier. And Lopez really finding his own joy after a few big plays here in this first half.
Yeah, Anthony Lopez, coming out of Modern Day High School, 5'9", 175 pounds, coming out on the edge, sealing up this jet sweep from Bruce. Comes in there, picks him up, takes him off his feet, puts him down right in the ground. Last year didn't have a whole lot of playing time. 3 games, 14 total tackles, 1 pass deflection. He's really getting his reps here and showing off that modern day spirit.
Well, his favorite athlete is Derwin James, and that was a bit of Derwin on that last tackle, showing it off in the run game and the pass. 2nd and 8. Flag on the play, though. In the backfield, it looks like it might be a false start on the Chapman offensive line.
False start. Offense, number 57. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
So indeed it is a foul on Colin Brophy, number 57, making his first ever start at right tackle for the Chapman Panthers. He comes in with high expectations and a big shoes to fill, coming in for all-SCIAC player Parker Whittam, who graduated last year.
They have to fill those holes indeed, and again, there's that inexperience at that O-line coming into play here.
Peterman looking left, goes quickly to Lagerman, who will gain a few yards on the play, gets about 6. It looks like, and it will be a 3rd and short for the Panthers coming up.
You see the Panthers are starting to get away from the run game a little bit, spread it out on the outside perimeter, and then Lagerman obviously gets that pickup just a little bit, making it a little bit more manageable. And the idea is to really keep the Pacific offense off of the field, give your defense a little bit of rest, because obviously that big play just happened. So Peterman's got to do a good job here of securing the ball and moving the chains.
So a big 3rd down coming up. The Pacific fans trying to rally their defense. Peterman looking for Adams. He's got him near the 45. And Amir Adams hauls it in on a big 3rd down conversion for the Panthers and keeps on the chains moving.
You see, he's been kind of quiet so far since that last huge play that he had earlier. Now he comes back in here, and Peterman finds his main guy down the seam and gets that 1st down.
So far, you have to be really impressed with the patience that Peterman has shown throughout this game, Justin. Just waiting his time, biding his time, putting trust in his offensive line. We expected a little bit more out of him to take that leadership role, obviously voted a captain this year. And so far, he's showing it off through the arm and on the ground. Handoff to Ursino, who's got a little bit of green room in front of him. Gonna meet right in front with Anthony Lopez. Maybe could have went for his patented juke around, but instead tried to go straight through the heart of a guy who's been giving Chapman a little bit of problems on the defensive side.
Yeah, Lopez went for the legs again, lifted Ursino in the air. But you got to be careful. If you're going to do that against a guy like Ursino, he's going to punish you. We've seen him in practice. He's very aggressive. No matter what, he's always putting his arm out there, pushing guys aside, even if it's his own teammates. So be careful.
Even if it's own brother.
Yeah, that's
Nico
right.
Ursino, a defensive back on this team. Also on this Chapman lacrosse team. Definitely not afraid to get physical, but Gio showing off the older brother's strength. Peterman with another handoff to Ursino, and Ursino finds the hole. Cuts around and met by Lopez once again. And a penalty at the end of the play. It looks like Booker got into a bit of a kerfuffle with Gian Logman at the top of your screen as Logman's helmet went flying about 10 yards all the way back. And Chapman now with a potential 1st and goal situation with 3 minutes left in this 2nd quarter.
Personal foul, defense. Number 5, half of this is the goal line, automatic 1st down. Number 11 for Chapman can stay in the game because his helmet was removed by foul.
And this is a good play from the Panthers offense. Ursino getting into open space. Good job from the O-line, finding their guys, pancakking guys. Lopez finishing off the tackle, making sure that Ursino doesn't get the touchdown. Then you get the extracurriculars at the top of your screen with number 5, Zion Booker, fighting against Lagerman, and they get those extra added yards. And now they're working even closer in the red zone in boxer territory.
So 2 back next to Peterman. Manzano at the top of your screen. Handoff to Ursino once again. Why not give it to him? Cuts the corner, dives for the end zone.
Flag on the field.
And a flag once again in the backfield. Ursino just pushed out inches away from the goal line. We'll see what the call is from Joseph Finley.
It looks like it's coming back, holding against the Panthers' offensive line.
Unfortunate play there.
Holding, offense, number 5, 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
I still like the idea of running in on the outside perimeter against this boxer defense. Make it challenge them to make big plays. You saw the dive there earlier on that last play, nearly got out of hand, but again, that offensive line cleaning up those penalties a little bit. You see just right about on the outside edge. Ursino with the little dive. You know he's a fearless guy with that ball.
So that hold negates the personal foul as Lagerman comes in motion. Pressure coming forward, and Adams with his 2nd grab of the day for the end zone. And Amir Adams puts the Panthers back up by 6 and throws down the hammer.
And he was working on Zion Booker on that play. This was an RPO play from Peterman. puts it over the top. You see Amir Adams beat him just by a tad bit. Uh-oh, flag on the field again. But yeah, you see on this replay here, you see Adams just a step in front of his defender, number 9 for Pacific, Torrance Ellis, kind of missed him, and Amir Adams will take that any day.
I mentioned it in the pregame. When the sun goes down, the stars shine brightest. Bantalina with 113 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns for Pacific. We'll see if this flag negates the touchdown. The kicking unit is out there.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, Chapman, number 75. That's his first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. Pacific is elected to take the 15-yard penalty on the kickoff.
So Gavin Scott will get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Pacific will take the extra yardage to try and get a score with 2:16 left as Jax Hudson comes out. Amir Adams, though, with his second of the day. And now Chapman starting to find their groove offensively. Kick is good and through the uprights for Jax Hudson. There's a perfect 3 of 3 for today. But overall, pretty solid drive, you'd have to say. Well orchestrated by Peterman and Adams doing the rest in the very end.
They had a few different issues down the field here, but they kept going with it. They found Amir Adams, and you talked about earlier how the stars shine bright out here. Amir Adams already 4 receptions, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The stars are shining bright for that man indeed.
So we'll see who comes out here. It will be Bantalina once again. The do-it-all man for this Pacific team, trying to haul this Boxer side all the way to an upset win. They've never scored more than 23 points against this Chapman team in their 4 matchups. Their closest matchup being a 35-23 loss. Everything else, Chapman has scored at least 35 in all of their games against the Panthers, and seemed like they were on collision course for that once again last year. So far, with 21 points on the board, you'd have to say they're on collision course once again. Now it's up to Pacific to see if they can rewrite the script and come away with the victory tonight.
Now it's time, with 2:16 left in the game, it's time to get that 2-minute drill going for this Pacific Boxers team. And again, Panthers got to be careful, because if Pacific wants to, they can throw this ball down the field. Just be ready for Bantalina as he comes down.
And Bantalina stepping away from defenders. Gets around the almighty Keefe, a flag down on the play once again.
It looks like Bantalina got his face mask pulled down from the Panthers kickoff coverage team. This might be some extra yards for the Boxers.
So we'll see what the call is.
You see on the replay here as Bantalina is coming down the field. He was in the middle of the tackle as he was trying to get on the outside. You see his helmet turned around. It was coming from number 24 out there for the Panthers coverage team, and a little bit of a tug on the face mask. I think that's going to be some extra yards. So the Boxers will start out with good field position.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Personal foul, kicking team, number 40. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, receiving team, number 4. First down, Pacific.
So offsetting penalties on the play as that unsportsmanlike conduct. We've seen a few of those so far in this game, coming back to haunt both of these teams. And now instead of Pacific being in extra good position after the unsportsmanlike conduct against Scott on the touchdown, now they find themselves at the 40 rather than potentially in Chapman territory.
You know, and that call was on number 40, Alex Wonderly, 2-sport athlete out of high school football and rugby. Well, obviously the yardage is negated here, and Pacific gets some pretty good starting field position. And this is that time to get that 2-minute offense going right now.
So Posse into the game, immediately gets it. We met head on by Rennick Martin. Kalai Posse, the backup, we mentioned really a power back for this team behind the likes of Bantalina.
That is the 2-minute timeout, 2-minute timeout.
As we've reached the 2-minute warning here in Orange, California. Chapman up by 7, 21-14 the score. And so far it's been a real seesaw battle between both of these teams, Justin. And now we're gonna take a quick break as we head into the 2-minute warning here at Wilson Field. Thank you so much for joining us, Nico Schwegler, Justin Lee, along with the rest of our crew. We'll be right back. Posse out there with Titus. Making his way over is Braden Lowe, the tight end. We haven't seen much of him so far in this game. What can the Boxers cook up with 2 minutes left, down by 7? Panthers bring pressure. And Posse was wide open right there. Gowdy was also surfacing around looking for the tackle, and Tariquez once again applying the pressure. He's just finding all the gaps right now in between this offensive line for the Boxers.
And the thing that the Panthers, the thing that the Panthers defense does a lot is really mix around a lot of these linebackers. And again, it's about this multi-talented players on this team. Tariquez obviously can play edge, he can play linebacker, he can even go into coverage if you need him to. These guys can cover the entire field, no matter what.
The final bell is ringing on the Boxers to produce something. 3rd and 3 with 1:56 left to go in this first half. 3 out to his left. Titus takes the snap. Goes down to Lowe. And the tackle made by Gowdy and Tariquez with the pursuit from behind. But they keep the chains moving, and Pacific now with the chance to move into Chapman territory and find themselves level into this game heading into the break.
Got a man down on the field. Looks like it
Time
might
out
be.
on the field for an injury.
Looks like Lowe's on the ground right now, the tight end for this team.
So Braden Lowe down after that play. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. So Braden Lowe had to be helped off by 2 teammates there. No pressure on that left leg. Sean Evans into the game as tight end. Bantalina takes the snap once again. This time couldn't find the edge around. It looked like it was Devin Cobb out there on the far side, but right now Brody Bantalina really getting anything he wants, especially running towards that Pacific sideline.
And again, we talked about this earlier. They're going to use Bantalina a lot, especially in this 2-minute drill, sort of run down the field as they're going in the hurry-up offense right now.
He's getting anything he wants. Compact formation for the Boxers. Gets pulled down from behind as Tyler Hill was in there to make the tackle.
Yeah, good job from Tyler Hill to maintain, stay committed to taking down Bantalina. get him down on his knees.
Timeout. Chapman, first charged. Timeout of the first half.
So the first timeout of this first half used unusually by the Chapman Panthers. 1:20 left, maybe trying to preserve this clock as Pacific tries to wind it down.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit concerned about this Boxers offense right now, especially Braden Lowe, who just went down after his first reception. They're checking him on the sideline right now with his left ankle. But going back to this last drive, this touchdown play from Amir Adams, just looking back at it, seeing the way that this is the type of throws that Peterman excels at, is really throwing it in front of his receivers. We saw a couple of errant throws from him, especially when he was trying to find Quentin Beeble earlier in the game. And it's those type of throws that they trust Peterman to make, and that's exactly what happens on that play. So Amir Adams, already 2 touchdowns on the night. We're going to see a lot of that this season. That's a preview of just what's going to come this year. And his quarterback room was so good last year, so good. You know, Tyler Pacheco came in after Nathaniel Espinoza went down, then Pacheco came down, and then Peterman came in halfway through the season, had to put this team on his back, and that's exactly what happened. He gets the reins this year. Espinoza sitting 3rd string right now, but the depth now this year is also ridiculous. They got AJ Perez, transfer from USD in here. They've got Joey Yellen, transfer from multiple different Division I's. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things to be excited about this Panthers offense this year.
You just saw Jim Kraft, the offensive coordinator for this Boxer side. What does he have in the playbook? 3 receivers out to his left. Bantalina goes to Titus's left. And they'll elect to pass. Go for the screen. Almost picked off. Bodies went flying as Munoz read it perfectly and was ready to pursue Bantalina at a moment's instance. And so far in this game, that just seems like the type of strategy that for David Bishop and this defense they have to go with after Bantalina has put up over 100 yards on the ground already.
Absolutely, and this time Bishop actually made a really good call, sending the blitz on a setup screen for Bantalina, and they kind of blew up in their face because Kate Jordan was right in front of Titus on this play, and that is what disrupted that last screenplay attempt.
So ball on the 25, 3rd and 3 for these Boxers. Titus looking towards the end zone. And a late flag comes in. Seth Holbrook was on the coverage. Josiah Chafin giving a little point of the fingers. And it looks like this play will extend the drive. Pass interference looks like it's coming on Seth Holbrook after that one. Just an unfortunate break for the Chapman defense.
Pass interference.
Unfortunate indeed.
Defense, number 5, 15-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
And this is just the reality of college football this year, especially with the defensive backs. You talk about the rule here, pass interference. The only reason why he gets this call is because he just doesn't get his head turned around. And I guess you could call it a good play from Titus for throwing it over to Holbrook, putting it right behind his back because he had no idea where the ball was. So the refs are going to call that all day, and that's why it's so tough for defensive backs to play in the game, because of those types of calls. But they just want to give the advantage to the offense, and unfortunately, if you don't get your head around, you're going to get that call.
Seth Holbrook, the younger brother of Isaac Holbrook, who graduated from Chapman and was one of the top DBs for this team last year. Now Titus on the 10-yard line, looks through the middle, and Jacob Gowdy almost made a game-changing play at the goal line right there. Getting a few hands on that one. What a way that would have been to end it off and get the ball back in Chapman possession.
Absolutely, yeah. We talked about Gowdy flying around the field. He's got to take that place of Harden, who obviously back transferred to Saddleback. You see where he's at. See where he started out here, kind of covering the receiver, and then good deflection. He was a little frustrated because he thought he could have had a pick on that. But there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're stopping that Boxers offense from getting in the end zone, you're doing your job right.
That's the thing about this Pacific offense is that they don't have that Amir Adams. They don't have that number 1 guy quite yet that you're game planning for. So David Bishop can show a few different looks. Bantalina now guiding his way behind the O-line. And even with 3 guys in front of him, seems like 6 of those black jerseys just converged on him all at once.
And again, a good job for the Panthers defense for flying all over the field, and Tarikas is right in the middle of that once again.
First charge, timeout.
So Pacific will use their first timeout of the first half, 54 seconds left. As they're down by 7, trying to make this game quite interesting here in Orange, California. It was a tightly contested one not too long ago, 2 years ago. But now Pacific trying to end their losing streak to these Chapman Panthers. You just love to see the hustle from all of these guys. Tariq is in on the play along with Tyler Hill. Cade Jordan had a little trip up near the end, but still flying his way over there. And so far, this defense in full pursuit, trying to retain their #1 status in the conference.
Absolutely, and I think that's the one thing about this defense is that they like to make good adjustments, and I think Bishop does a very good job of doing that because you saw him use those timeouts. Talk about with his defense a little bit about Bantalina. He said, look, we got to cover up this guy. We got to gang tackle him. We got to find him wherever he goes, follow him where he goes. And you saw in that replay, they ganged up on Bantalina, keeping him covered no matter what. The thing about this Panthers defense last year, they didn't do such a good job in the first 3 games. And then all of a sudden, when their starting quarterback went down, they said, all right, we need to flip a switch, and we need to turn this thing around. The theme of this Panthers defense is they make great adjustments. And going into halftime, they might make some more adjustments, but right now, they're doing a pretty good job so far.
So 3rd and 10 for this Pacific side. They still have a little bit of wiggle room to try and make this 1st and goal and get another set of downs. But right now, it's now or never with 3rd and 8. Bantalina in the backfield, 3 out wide for Titus. Going to look end zone for Carmichael, and just beyond his reach. Tried to go into his high point receiver at 6'3" against Holbrook, who did well in coverage. And the field goal unit has to come out for Pacific, trying to cut this lead down to 4.
And they're really picking on Holbrook a lot on that outside edge on the far end of your screen. He's actually listed as kind of the backup behind Rennick Martin and Devin Cobb right now. So they're really picking on him because they think he doesn't have that experience of covering guys, but he definitely does. And that ball was a little overthrown.
Timeout. Chapman, second charge, timeout.
So an interesting move there from Bob Owens to call the timeout, potentially to ice the kicker, Tyler Like. And quite the interesting move. Now, you only have 1 timeout, 48 seconds, a lot of trust in your offense. Potentially, depending on what happens here, do you try and go for another touchdown, late heave, maybe try and get some momentum heading into that second half, or do you just run out the clock, go into the locker room nice and safe with the lead at 4?
Well, if we know Bob Owens, we know he doesn't like to go quietly. We've seen that a lot last year, taking big advantages when he has enough time on the board. So hopefully the Boxers aren't listening to this, but we know Bob Owens likes to take the high probability of throwing it down the field. So expect him to do that.
He told us on Thursday he was a man of few words. That's the word of the man himself. He really does let his play do the speaking. And so far, all of the wizardry coming out in this season opener. Titus with the hold, Like through the uprights. And this lead cut down to 4. 44 seconds left for this Chapman offense to try and get something going into the second half, with potentially a few more tacked on the board. We'll see what happens in these next 44. But so far, you have to give credit to Pacific. They've stayed in this game, and it's been really just all off the back of Bantalina and his performance on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, they've been able to move the ball down the field on all these drives, and it hasn't been because they've been getting help from turnover. No, it's been because of the run game a lot. Using a lot of the receivers to get down the field. They've been making really good strategic plays on these drives and getting down the field, challenging the Panthers defense. And I know it is the beginning of the season, but Pacific, we talked about it earlier. The fact that Coach Falconer said, they have a lot of returners. They have something to prove. They want to play fast, physical, and fearless, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
44 seconds remain. Chapman trying to get this opening win in their defense of their SCIAC title. Right now, flirting with history as Bob Owens still 1 win away from winning his 100th Chapman victory. Potentially, we might see it here tonight on this beautiful September night in Orange. Manzano out of the backfield. Flag comes flying in from the backside as he gets taken down hard on the 15.
This may or may not push the Panthers offense a little further back. Possible block in the back here.
Number 22, Hane Makchu, who made the tackle on the kickoff.
You get this great replay view from our new
During
camera
return,
jib out
holding.
there.
Return team, number 26. Half distance to the goal line. First down, Chapman.
So no block in the back. No block in the back. Just the holding call. Still pushes them back a little bit. So maybe Bob Owens might consider just running the ball here, keeping the score as it is right now, because this is a different Pacific Boxers team than we've seen in this first half so far.
We haven't seen this type of team, at least against Chapman, come out like this. And so far, they've really held their own, but it's been the second half, at least the last time these teams matched up here in Orange, where Chapman found their groove. We'll see if this team can find it once again. Indeed, a handoff to Ursino, who gets absolutely nothing. And it does indeed look like the Chapman Panthers will just wind down this clock heading into the second half. We already see some of those players making their way closer to the locker room.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to let this thing clock down all the way to the half and get off the field, go to the locker room, get those adjustments. A lot of good football so far in this first half, Nico.
It really has been 21-17, the score here after 2 quarters, as the Panthers enter the locker room up by 4 in this season opener. Everything on the line for these guys, and it all starts tonight with this first chapter here in this opening match. Justin, a lot to like from both of these teams so far.
Yeah, a lot to like about both of these teams. Vantolina working his magic out there. You talked about the star shining bright at night, and indeed, that's exactly what is happening right now. Vantolina is showing off why he's the best in the NWC as a running threat. But on the other side, the Panthers offense, they've had a few hiccups here and there, but they've come back all the way with Amir Adams getting 2 touchdowns, Logman with 1 touchdown. The pass offense working its magic so far.
So far, we've seen a lot of good football from both of these sides. A few mistakes early on, but what do you think about how these teams can move forward and try and get off of those and shake off that preseason rust?
Well, and, the preseason rust is a big thing, right? And you have to stay calm, find what you need to do. Those adjustments will come through. Bishop, like we talked about, knows how to make those adjustments. But I think the big thing of the Boxers is they need to keep being aggressive so far. It's working to their advantage right now. But the defense also, they got to stop this Panthers pass game somehow. Somehow the Panthers are really working the magic of the pass game, but the rush game hasn't really been working out as much as they like to. But if you go with a recipe that's good, you stick with it, right?
You absolutely do. The Panthers last season, 5 out of their 10 games, they rushed for more pass yards than they had. And so far tonight, it's been the complete flip of the script. Maybe that's with Peterman at the helm at quarterback. He's the one that they look to for those passes. He's been slicing and dicing up this defense. But so far, you have to like how they're faring. What do you think has to be the game plan for them to really put this game away in the second half?
It's really just flying out the doors, going crazy on that end, really finding your guys you need to really continue what they've been doing so far. And they're going to fight. If both of these teams are going to fight, if one team's going to fight, the other team's going to fight. That's the name of the game. If you're going to come out strong, I'm going to come out strong.
It absolutely is. That has been the name of the game, and Chapman so far in this one leads 21-17 over the Pacific Boxers. The rest of the action coming up here on CSBN. Nico Schwegler, joined by Justin Lee, the rest of our crew. We'll be sending it down to Madison Miller and Lisa Pressler down on the field for this halftime show. We'll be back right after this.
Thank you, Nico and Justin. I'm Madison Miller.
I'm Lisa Pressler.
And welcome to our halftime show, where we'll be going over the first half of the game, looking at some stats. And if you stay tuned for our post-game show later, we have exclusive interviews with offensive line coach Casey Shine, as well as Kyle Zimmerman, father to Cade and Tate Zimmerman on the Chapman football team, as well as the coordinator for the tailgates this year. So just to get right into it, Lisa, this has been a neck and neck game so far. We're 21-17. It seems as though every time Chapman gets a touchdown, Pacific is not far behind them. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a battle. And every time Chapman does something, Pacific's right behind them. So, I mean, we really got to step it up coming into the second half.
Right. So we started off with the touchdown from Amir Adams, starting off strong for Chapman. And then it followed right there with Pacific.
Yeah, and then we got that fumble, and it just had set Chapman back. But, you know, let's also talk about all the interceptions that went on, right?
Right.
From both teams.
Mm-hmm. So Luke Peterman had his first interception, as previously mentioned, of his entire football career at Chapman. So that was definitely a notable point, not only this game, but our quarterback's entire career here at Chapman. So that was definitely a notable point.
Yeah,
and if we want to move in to look at some stats, we can not only see that Pacific had 11 first downs, Chapman tying at 11 first downs. So they were definitely neck and neck there. Pacific had 138 rush yards with Chapman at 48, and then 124 pass yards with Chapman standing at 234 passing yards. So transitioning over from those stats, we not only want to talk about the Chapman Pacific game that was going on right behind us, but we also want to look at the other games going on in the SCIAC conference tonight.
Yeah, so as of right now, we have Pomona versus Charleston, and that current score is 14-0. And then earlier today, Laverne played Willamette, and Willamette took that win 27-24.
We also had Redlands versus George Fox at Redlands, which did get postponed, so we're still waiting for that game to start up. It was supposed to start around 8 o'clock, so it's getting to the point where it's going to start up, so we will provide those live updates later on as that game continues. And then we also had Claremont Mudscripts versus Chicago, and CMS took that win 24-0 today. So those are the other games that were going on in our conference today, and that was definitely a strong start to the season for many, at least for CMS, but going on in our conference overall. So we will be back with our post-game show with, like I said, exclusive interviews with Casey Shine as well as Kyle Zimmerman. I'm Madison Miller.
I'm Lisa Pressler.
Thank you for watching our halftime show.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Wilson Field. Great to have you with us. Chapman up 21-17 over Pacific University. Nico Schwegler alongside Justin Lee. Justin, a lot to like from both of these teams, but Chapman came out of the gates firing with that opening touchdown, but Pacific keeping it closer than we might have expected.
They've really surprised us so far, and if you're just joining us, we've seen a plethora of huge plays from both of these teams. The Stars are here tonight. Matt Salina has come in here, scored 2 touchdowns. Amir Adams has scored 2 touchdowns. Loggeman has scored a touchdown. We've seen a back and forth involved team that has really come in here, and they've thrown punches at this really tough Chapman Panthers team.
It's been a seesaw battle indeed, and more on this seesaw battle down on the sidelines from our very own Caroline Chang. Caro, what do you have down on the sidelines?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Sorry, guys. Turns out this mic was off. But anyway, my name is Caroline Chang. We're back here on the sideline. Now, although I was muted, y'all must have heard the crazy roar of the crowd, the buzzing, the liveliness. We're back here for our second half. We're going to see what's going to happen in the second half. Now, like you guys already said, Chapman is here. Pacific is right behind them. We're going to see them face off here in the second half. I'll send it back up to you guys in the booth.
Caro, it was indeed a back-and-forth battle, but the crowd, Justin, they were raucous. Both sides. We heard the Pacific crowd also getting into it a little bit towards that second quarter, but Chapman showing out for their Chapman football team as they try and defend their reigning SCIAC championship.
And that attention has kind of drawn a lot of fans here tonight. All these stands are pretty filled up for this first game of the year. And so far, they've seen a great show out here tonight. Between the Boxers that really come to town, Faulkner talked about it in the pregame interviews. He said, we want to come out physical, we want to come out fast, we want to come out like we can prove something. And so far, they have really proved something so far in this matchup, in this game in general. And the Panthers have got something on the line here against this Pacific Boxers team. And probably one of the more competitive matchups we've seen in the years between these two teams.
So far, they're living up to their team name, trying to go all of the rounds. We'll see if either of these teams can deliver the knockout blow in this second half. Chapman will be the one to kick off. A great sign for the Boxers heading out of this one, as Brody Bantalina was all over this game. Justin leads this game with over 100 rush yards, 2 touchdowns. He was lightning as in a bottle, as we keep on saying throughout this broadcast, and now he has the chance to try and put Pacific up for the first time tonight.
Yeah, we saw earlier in the game, Bantalina already 77 yards rushing, 7.0 average per carry. The guy has been dangerous. 1 touchdown already. We saw him break away twice. He is a master at what he does. And if you don't bottle him up quick enough, he's going to keep doing that to you all night.
So Jax Hudson will be the one to get us underway here in the second half. Brody Bantalina back there for the Boxers. Second half underway, here we go. And right to the man of the hour himself with a little bit of a bobble, but now he has some room down the sideline and finds his way all the way up to the 30 near Chapman's sideline. Can do it all really from every single position. But now Braden Titus comes back out to open up this second half. What do you think needs to be within this drive? It really hasn't been a poor game from any aspect for this offense. It just needs to be a bit more consistent, you have to say, Justin.
Right, and we saw Titus make one mistake earlier. Interception in the first half, and the Panthers defense have been kind of brutal on that end. But again, the one thing that we noted earlier is the fact that they're missing one of their better wide receivers in Kyle Bookland. So they've had to look at Tyler Penn. They've got to look at Josiah Chafin, find those guys and get the pass offense going.
Handoff to Bantalina, met in the backfield. Zimmerman nowhere to run. And
Woo!
Zimmerman with a little bit of an extra shove right there. Pacific asking for a little bit of a flag at the end. But Tate Zimmerman comes in for Hunter Headley, who graduated last year as a grad student for law. He was instrumental last year to getting Chapman to that SCIAC title. Tate Zimmerman, the junior out of New Mexico State, the Irvine native, making his presence felt already in this second half.
Yeah, I don't know if Bishop told him to do that coming out of the locker room after the halftime adjustments, but what a force this guy will be for this team. His brother on the other side, Cade Zimmerman, as they come in here, replacement for Hunter Headley. Beautiful guy.
Pressure coming from the Panthers, dumped off to Bantalina, and Sieben with the easy tackle around the 35.
We're probably going to call on Zimmerman a lot this season. Guy came in here from University of New Mexico, 11 games, 12 tackles, 1 sack. He had 4 tackles against Fresno State. So this guy's got not only Division I experience, but he's got experience all around. He's going to be an important piece to the Chapman Panthers team. In high school, all around 236 tackles when he was at Irvine High School.
He also had 11 total touchdowns. Not sure if that means on the defensive side or on the offensive side. You can never know with high school football. But he was also lettering, not only in football, but also baseball at Irvine High School. Titus looking over, picked off, Jacob Gowdy. Instant impact for number 3. And Roman Harden, who had 3 picks in that championship game, left right off for the sophomore Gowdy, who takes the tumble after Titus could not find his man.
Yeah, maybe they got a little too energized on the sideline, but look at this play right here. Just jumps right in front of the receiver. His intended guy out there, a tight end outside, Sean Evans, jumps right in front of it. And that's the thing we saw about Harden last year, just jumping in front of the guy. But now it's Jacob Gowdy's stage, and that's exactly what he does. Getting the second interception of the game for this Panthers defense. And we talked about it earlier, about the halftime adjustments. Panthers come right out, taking the momentum away from the Boxers.
He had experience last year, 6 games, 5 tackles. Now gets his chance in the starting role. Peterman will pull it back out from Ursino. Looking down deep, has Loggeman. And Loggeman still fighting for some extra yardage. Will get pushed back, and this game's starting to get a little bit chippy as both of these teams seem to find their way down the chains. Gian Logman, a guy who finished 13th in the conference in receiving yards, seemed like he had a larger-than-life impact last year in his first real year getting time on the field. And so far today, he's been showing out potentially with another touchdown in mind.
Yeah, he's been really showing out so far already in this first game. He's got 3 receptions, 66 yards, just added another one to his plate right there.
And a handoff to Orsino, who gets nowhere. He's going to be stuffed up by Drew Welch, the senior defensive end out of Buckeye, Arizona. Haven't heard much of this D-line so far for the Boxers in this game. And that's a testament so far to how well the offensive line has played, at least throughout this game, for the Panthers, despite their inexperience up front.
And the passing game, they've been doing an excellent job out there. But really, the run game is what they have to start establishing here. Orsino in that first half had 50 yards a gain, 5.6 average. It didn't look like it in the first quarter, but now they're starting to pick up with the run game. And I'd like to see that more as they go into this. Obviously holding the ball right now. They get another score here. That adds some breathing room. But they have to rely on that run game if they want to keep the Boxers at bay.
And an early timeout here as the clock was winding down towards 0. Trying to prevent a delay of game. Peterman electing to call it. Bob Owens all the way out there trying to get that communication back in sync with his QB1. But so far you have to like what you see.
Timeout, Chapman.
No, so far indeed.
First timeout of the second half.
Yeah, so far indeed. You talked about earlier Logman and how he's been playing. The passing game has been working to fruition completely. Their 3 best receivers, Bruce, got 2 receptions in the first half, 38 yards. Amir Adams, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's what's been working for them so far because they've been forced to throw the ball down the field because the run game hasn't been working as effectively as they want it to, but it's starting to ramp up a little bit right now.
And it's been quite the unconventional type of Chapman game that we saw to last year. Last season, the only game where they had more than 20 pass attempts, ironically, was in their season opener against Whitworth. Obviously, they played Pacific in what was supposed to be theirs before it was suspended. It definitely got postponed a week as the team that beat them later on in the tournament would beat them here at Wilson Field. Only game where they had more than 20 pass attempts. They seem like they're on course for that here tonight with 14 already for Peterman. Just 10 rushes between Huss and Orsino, who line up in the backfield now. Very interesting play calling so far from Casey Shine and Bob Owens on that Chapman sideline.
Absolutely. Very interesting play calls that we've seen so far. And right now, obviously, you see 2 different running backs in the backfield.
And the handoff to Orsino once again splits the gap and finds his way down towards the 19. We marked down around the 20 by the line judge. Juan Fuentes.
And once again, another good push here from the O-line, this time getting Orsino into open space. They get the ball up. They put Fisher Huss as the fullback in the position there, starting to move the ball a little bit now. And this is the time for Orsino to really kick things in the second gear. Find the outside. We've seen him kind of body a lot of guys so far. We need him to use that juke move to his advantage. We see that a lot in practice.
Play action there for the Panthers. Peterman gets trapped up. Was just caved in by his own offensive line as the Lions came out to hunt for the Boxers D-line. Isaiah Regala out there alongside Rain Posse. Coming in with the pressure.
It looks like the offense is going to stay out here on this 4th down attempt, but you see Peterman looking for his reads. I think he had Logman downfield, but he knows that time was running out in the pocket because the Boxers' defense was coming right in his face, so he had to break it down, get out of the pocket. Fortunately, he wasn't able to get out of anywhere because the O-line was collapsing in on him.
So one of the first big plays for Regala and Octavio Calejo on that D-line. So 4th and 9, Panthers going for it all. Pressure coming through. Peterman has Bruce wide open into the end zone. A little bit of magic from Luke. And at the wave of a wand, the Panthers go up with a chance to go up by 10.
I love the creativity here from Luke Peterman. It seemed like he was going to take that himself and run, but he knew that the Boxers are closing in on him quick. So he said, all right, I got to find my guy downfield. Saw Bruce. He said, all right, I'll deliver it to you. Right down the field, Jason Bruce, making himself available to Peterman and getting right in the end zone. And again, the 4th touchdown of the entire game for this Panthers passing game.
Snap down, Orsino with the hold. Hudson once again perfect through the uprights. But that's the thing about Luke Peterman. We wondered last year. Tyler Pacheco, was the one who took over for Nathaniel Espinoza. Both of those guys really profound with their legs on the ground, a lot of read options. We weren't expecting that out of Peterman, but his ability to make plays a little bit, might I even say, kind of unconventional, like Brock Purdy behind the line of scrimmage, being able to maneuver and find his guys open downfield. And so far tonight, Bruce getting in on the action in the end zone, and he's just been magic on all different levels.
And he's really had to become a game manager this year, especially for this team. Obviously coming into a new role as a starting quarterback, a lot more pressure on his shoulders than last year, coming in here and really making the right decisions. We've seen a few times where he hasn't really made it a really good decision right now, and right now it's working perfectly.
Feel good vibes right now for the Panthers. Jax Hudson along with Will Bassnight feeling good right now, up 28-17. The Panthers, we've seen it before last year, 2 years ago, excuse me, on this same field. It was 14-14 heading into the half before the Panthers put it all out there against this Pacific side, outscoring them 28-7 in the second half to put this away. Can this be different for Pacific, or will the same story be rewritten on a different night? Fielding it all the way back there. It looks like that's Zion Booker, who has green room in front of him, taken down hard by number 24. That looked like that was JT Clark out there, the linebacker, making the play on special teams. So a solid gain out to the 33 for the Boxers. Now the question once again becomes, what can they do on it coming out of the interception off of Jacob Gowdy?
Well, now they have to go back to that run game a little bit more and rely on that a bit, especially the Panthers are going to put pressure on you.
So Kalai Passy back there, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to hand it off to their power back, gets chopped down at the knees. Once again, Alex Tarica is at the heart of it all. Number 0 playing with big heart.
Yeah, and Alex Tarica wasn't going to let him go anywhere. Good job to wrap up, going down at the legs and making sure that Pasai doesn't go anywhere. Really interested to see where this strategy is going, because they're leaving Posse out there instead of Bantolina.
Pressure coming from the Panthers, going deep. He's got a man wide open and unbelievably dropped right there. How was that not caught by number 4, Jourdain Bernabois Pine? Gets his first real look at the action in this game. And somehow, some way, he found himself on an island, nobody around, and it just went straight through his hands.
He got beat.
I'm still shocked.
He got beat on the outside by Jordan Bernabois Pine. And that experience, once again, is really playing a factor for this Pacific Boxers team. You know, dropping that pass and not familiar with that deep throw.
Pressure coming from Jordan around the outside. Once again, heaving downfield. Quick release out there from Titus as the reigning SCIAC Defensive Player of the Year, showing off his presence around the edge.
And I'm just surprised that they decided to continue with the pass game on this. If the run game has been working for you in the first half, you'd think they would stick with it, especially with Bantolina out there.
And the time they have.
Exactly. They have plenty of time to take their breath and take this down the way. They had the interception earlier, and then they just decided to continue passing the ball instead of using Bantolina to their advantage. Very interesting strategy here from Faulkner.
So back there to receive is Adams. Line drive kick from Green. And the ball gets kicked. Adams has to dive on it. Fortunate break there for the Panthers.
And see, that's the thing that troubles a lot of returners, especially on the return game, especially if it's a short kick. You see Tarica's just getting pushed back from the punt cover team, and good job from Adams to stick with that ball. Great awareness to keep with it. Nearly miss it. That would have been insanely dangerous.
That would have been devastating for them after that incredible defensive stand to keep this going. And now the Panthers with the chance to extend this lead. Adams out there alongside Bruce, who got the last touchdown, and Loggeman. 2 running backs set once again out there. No Beeble as Huss comes in next to Racino.
And if Pacific wants to stay in this game, they have to hold this Panthers offense.
Peterman will hold, Peterman will run, and Peterman goes down. Late challenge in from Zion Booker.
Good slide from Peterman. He had number 5 from Pacific flying down the way. Zion Booker, he was just about to hit him with the helmet, but good job to stay out of the way of Peterman and avoid a targeting call. Because he's arguably one of their better defensive players on that end. If they lose that guy out there, they're fairly thin at the linebacker position.
I like to call him a Swiss Army knife with all that he can play. Orsino finds the gap, cuts outside, gives a man a little stiff arm, gets taken down outside just beyond the 40-yard line. Referees breaking up the play.
And that's the type of Orsino runs that we like. Go on the outside, make a couple of moves, and then give the guy the stiff arm, make him go to the ground and push him out of bounds.
Defense must come off the game for 16 must come out of the game for one play due to losing his helmet. Please put 40 seconds on the play clock. Thank you.
So number 16, Tatum Tasaga, has to come out of the game out of Palolo, Hawaii for losing his helmet. Part of the safety measures that go into all these Division III football games. Just making sure all these guys are good. I'm sure we'll see him out here for some of these next few plays. Peterman, handoff to Orsino, and Orsino continues to power his way through. Slammed down to the ground by number 23, Rylan Mai. Once again, we've seen Mai in the fray a few times. He's listed as a safety for this team, making his first start in the secondary, but we've seen him a lot in the box, previously playing at linebacker.
And again, that's kind of the position that he works in, the Sam linebacker, kind of like a strong safety in defenses. You can use him in the safety position if he needs to go into coverage. You can also use him in the front with run support. That's what he's playing with. And again, Orsino working his magic right now because Chapman knows they have the lead right now.
And back to Orsino once again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And does he have enough for the first down? It looks like he does. And those markers will continue to move along. That's exactly what we saw all of last year from not only Orsino, but Isaiah Woods. First team All-SCIAC nod for Woods last year in his senior year. Now Orsino, as a senior, trying to get things going. Huss now out there, as Orsino will take a quick breather.
Yeah,
talking with running back coach Isaiah Williams.
Absolutely, yeah, he deserves a little bit of a break after making a few good moves, a few good runs right there. Panthers have the lead right now. They're kind of flipping the script on the Pacific Boxers and keeping the time of possession in their own.
And the handoff to Huss. He'll take that for about 4 or 5 yards. And the run game continuing to power through. It seems like Madden 19, Madden 20 all over again. Just hand it off to the inside zone and just keep pounding it through. And right now, no real breakthroughs for the Panthers like Bantalina saw, but you keep on churning 4, 5, 6 yard runs, you're going to find your way down the field in no time if the defense can't stop it.
I mean, if you have the lead right now, you might as well. They're up by 11 in this game right now, and they recognize that. Just run the ball, kill the clock. Don't let the Boxers regain momentum.
And Orsino going to continue to do that, except he gets met right in the back. Avin Tanioka coming in with the tackle for loss.
Yeah, Tanioka getting a few reps. The backup guy for Hunter Brown in that formation, getting a few reps right now. Good penetration to get right in there and get Orsino on the ground. So now the Panthers recognize that the run game, you know, if it gets stopped once, you might as well try something a little bit different. Maybe watch for the play action pass on this.
So Peterman in the shotgun finds Loggeman for the first down and keeps on going. Breaking tackles. Gian Loggeman still on his feet. Taking Omri to finally drag him down. That was number 90, Tanais Tavele, who had to jump on his back. Not necessarily the tallest guy out there, Loggeman, 5'11", 185. But he's looking like a bull out there trying to keep these things going.
Yeah, he doesn't play like his size. You see his ability to jump off of tacklers. McKenna Barcelona, he just puts him on the ground. He runs like a tight end. And that's the ability of a strong player like Gian Loggeman in this offense.
Huss to Peterman's right. We'll take a look over towards Joey Yellen and Nathaniel Espinoza, along with Michael Leahy. Another timeout called by the Chapman Panthers.
Timeout, Chapman.
And you know, why not?
Second
We've seen this
charged.
time and
Timeout.
time again from some of these offensive minds calling these early timeouts. But while we do have this break, we're actually going to throw it to our very own Caroline Chang, obviously the 2014 team that won the SCIAC championship all those years ago in the house. Caroline, what do you have for us in the stands?
Thank you so much, Nico and Justin. My name is Caroline Chang, and I am joined by one of our very special 2014 alumni, Mr. Jeremiah McKibbins. Thank you so much for joining us today. First question I got for you is, you are part of that famous SCIAC championship team, bringing it home here for Chapman for the very first time. Are you feeling nostalgic being here 10 years later?
Yes, I do miss being in college, and I have the simplicities of college in comparison. But yeah, I do. I miss the team camaraderie. I miss the locker room. I miss playing the games, the Saturday night lights. I miss the crowd. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of I do miss there's a nostalgia, absolutely.
Right. I mean, I was up there and like literally all your buddies were just being like, Jeremiah, Hall of Famer. Maybe they're calling you out right now. But anyway, what do you think, because we're thinking about memories and things like that, what was your favorite memory of being on the football team here at Chapman during that time?
I think the memory that comes to mind was the halftime against Redlands for the SCIAC championship. 'Cause I don't remember exactly the score. I believe we were down, and I remember going into the locker room, and everyone knew, like, no, we got this. You know what I mean? There wasn't, like, a lot of tension because we knew, like, yo, we got this. So, and then the first play out of halftime, you know, I bust I think it's a 50-yard touchdown run, which changed the game. So, and that's because everyone did their job, including me. And I'm very thankful for, you know, all the teammates and everybody that I've met in my life. So I really do appreciate them.
That's so awesome. I mean, literally up there again, like they had so much buzz around you. It was really cool to just be up there. But bringing it back to Bob Owens. Now, if Chapman wins this game, it'll be his 100th career win for Chapman. So while your time here, maybe you have many fond memories with him. Is there any like lessons that you took away from him, or like fun things that you might be able to talk about him?
Bob Owens is absolutely great. He's a great guy. Me and him became very close, especially since my time here, and even afterwards we've kept in touch. So we talk every so often, but we still have genuine conversations. But I just know the man likes his root beer. He likes to float his root beers.
On the field is a fumble return
2
for
scoops,
score.
3 scoops,
Touchdown,
4 scoops.
Pacific.
You know, no, he's a good guy, and I'm very happy that he's still here. You know, he's still doing it. He's still very successful. I don't remember what the stat was, but I believe within the last 10 years, Chapman won like 6 or 7 SCIAC championships. So, I mean, we're dominating. So, especially when my freshman year here, it was, I think it was predominantly Cal Lutheran. So to see the tables turn is amazing. And he's still doing very successful. So, but yeah, I love Bob Owens.
He's an awesome guy. Well, thank you so much. I mean, your guys' team really set that momentum for the rest of history that's happening here. But thank you so much for joining us, Jeremiah. And Bobby O, maybe you got to give us your root beer recipe. But you never know. But, okay, sending it back up to you guys in the booth. Nico, Justin, thank you so much for joining us. One more thing.
Guys, I just want to let you know, Bob Owens here. Break them.
That was so good. Okay, thank you guys so much. My name is Caroline Chang. Back up to you guys in the booth.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Big shout out to Jeremiah McKibbins. But we were kind of going crazy here in the booth, Justin. What just happened? Zion Booker snagged the ball out of Gio Orsino's hands and took it all the way back to the house. Missed extra point. That may come in huge as this game continues to progress to make this a 5-point game. But just completely sapped the energy. I feel like the whole crowd had no idea what just happened, as we did up here in the booth.
No, I was completely surprised. Just exactly what happened there. We saw the replay earlier. Booker just swiped it out Gio Orsino's hand as he was going down, and they took that all the way to the end zone. It sucks the momentum out of a team.
And Manzano powering his way forward
Oh.
And a flag. A little scuffle near the 15-yard line. That might have been Nico Orsino.
Yeah.
Down there fighting with some of the Pacific return players. We'll see what the call is from Joseph Finley.
Oh. During a return, holding, return team, number 2, half this is the goal line, first down Chapman.
So it will go against Nico Orsino, as Chapman will be forced back all the way to the 9-yard line. All the momentum they built up in that previous drive just sapped out of midair. Just an unbelievable play from Booker. We've seen him in the fray a few times, but making a game-changing play, and those are the types of plays that really get your team going, and now that defense back out there, they're going to be feeling really good coming out against Peterman and the rest of this Chapman offense.
We also saw some really interesting sequences. We saw a Wildcat earlier with Tyler Pacheco in there, and then Peterman came back right in. But my goodness, what a game changer that play was with the fumble and the scoop and score all the way down. Nobody was able to get Booker in open space, and he just takes it.
Play action Peterman. Looking over, he's got Adams. Amir Adams leaving Jesse Strode in the dust. Strode, who had been one of the premier corners in the entire of the Northwest Conference. So far today, not having his best performance. We've seen Manzano, Adams, and the likes of Bruce all seem to find their way against Strode now in his senior year.
And now they're switching it up a little bit with a defensive strategy. Now they're putting a different player, Joseph Taylor Pate, against Amir Adams. That was a design bootleg on that last play.
Another play action. Now Hush just overthrown there by Peterman. That's what happens when the run game starts going for the Chapman team. They rely a lot on that run game to facilitate that play action, which Peterman has been deadly at. But right there, just an errant throw. Not used to seeing that out of Chapman's number 10.
Just a handful of the few mistakes that we've seen so far from this Panthers offense. And again, this is just the first game of the season. They're going to have a lot of those growing pains. This ball just a little bit out of the reach of Fisher Hush. He had no chance to get that thing, but he easily could have gotten the first down if he caught that pass.
So in this game, Pacific ties their high in points versus the Chapman Panthers. They scored 23 3 years ago in a 35-23 loss. Peterman pump fakes one, now scrambling her out for another, and it's a fumble picked up.
Goodness.
Once again, Pacific coming through with the dagger. Faleulu. What a playmaker he's been in this game.
Nehemiah Falulu has been making some moves around here, and now they're just taking advantage. The momentum, like we talked about, being sucked out of the life of the Panthers, and once again, they do it one more time, and Peterman just trying to dance in the pocket, knew he was in trouble. Great pressure here from the Boxers. It gets knocked out from the interior defensive lineman here for the Pacific Boxers. Giannis Tavale from Waipahu, Hawaii, and Jesse Octavio Calejo comes in there, makes enough pressure, and it's enough to jar the ball loose from Peterman. And now the Boxers have a chance to run it up even more and take the lead against the Panthers.
Just an unbelievable turn of events. That from Peterman, not very mindful, not very demure at all.
Timeout, Pacific, first charged.
And Pacific
Timeout.
will call their first timeout of the second half with 2:56 remaining in this third quarter. Justin, what have we just seen? It felt like Chapman, at least heading into the break, had everything on cruise control. They were up by 4. It seemed out of the half. They had that pass touchdown to Bruce. But now, just everything completely flipped on their head, and it hasn't even been Brody Bantalina, who killed the Panthers in that first half, who's been the facilitator of all this mayhem.
And it's been very interesting just the way that they have. It's just been very interesting just the way they kind of have settled in here, and the defense has really been doing a really good job with that, for sure.
And we'll be taking a quick break right now with 2:56 left. Chapman up by 5, but Pacific knocking on the doorstep. So 2 back in the backfield next to Titus, including Bantalina. 2 receivers out to his left. He's looking that way. And he's got a man in the end zone, picked off. What is happening right now? Seth Holbrook goes out past just the 10-yard line. Flag flies at the end of the play. This game has everything right now, Justin.
I don't know what's going on. There's a whole movie going on in production here, and it's going crazy right now. Who called in the Delulu pack right now? It's all over the field right now. There's laundry flying on the field. There's interceptions. There's fumbles. We got everything here, man.
This game has been diabolical so far. Seth Holbrook, who dropped an interception earlier in the game, comes up with the big play that was Christian Carmichael that Braden Titus was trying to find in the back of the end zone. And that's been the second time that Braden Titus has thrown a ball to one of his high point receivers, and it's been the Chapman defense that's just undercut it the same way that we saw Anthony Lopez do to Quinton Biebel in that first half.
And that's what happens when you throw a pass like that. If you don't put enough gas on it, and a defender will jump in front of that no matter what. You have to place this ball a little bit higher than your receiver can go get it, so he has the ability to go get the ball in terms of when he's out in open space. And great read from Seth Holbrook to get in front of that ball, take that ball, and actually kind of give the Panthers a little bit of hope, momentum back their way.
We have 2 fouls on the play. During a return, personal foul, blindside block against Pacific, number 54, 15-yard penalty. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, Chapman, number 1, also a 15-yard penalty. Both fouls will be enforced.
So several fouls on the play there by both teams. Number 54 for Pacific getting called. That was Ian Sissel, the linebacker. And it was number 1 on the defensive side, Rennick Martin, getting called for the unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah, it's been pretty chippy between these two teams. We saw a bit of that, especially with Gian Lagerman really getting in the face a lot of these defenders. You know, we saw that earlier with Zimmerman getting in the face of Bantolina. It's starting to get real chippy out here, but boy, what a game this has been so far. If you wanted to play football bingo, it's right here, right now.
So 3 backs in the backfield right now for the Panthers. And you might as well say that there's another, as Tyler Pacheco, listed as a wide receiver. We saw him at quarterback for 2 games last year as the starter before a season-ending injury. Jake Foy also in the backfield, as we got a flag all the way near the 35.
Sub late, causing a delay of game offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So delay of game on the Panthers as Bruce came in running late. Definitely not ideal. But we have seen some big-time plays out of Tyler Pacheco with his legs. 231 rushing yards last year for Chapman's number 6 on offense.
He was like that second element to that Panthers offense. It was kind of like the way Army runs their offense out here. And this is going to be interesting with this 3-back set.
And they will hand it off to Ursino, who goes flippant for a gain of about 3. So even with all those different running backs in there, the freshman Jake Foy coming into the game for the first time, and Tyler Pacheco, his prowess on the ground. We see it go back to good old reliable Gio Ursino in the backfield.
Well, I thought they were going to try a little bit of deception there. Instead, they just give it to Ursino right up the gut, halfback dive, and try to fake the outside run from Pacheco. Now Peterman's back out there.
Peterman alongside Ursino. Peterman, short dump off to Lagerman, steps away from one man, and just out of the grass, McKenna Barcelona did well to keep Lagerman from going any further, but a flag comes in late near the 25-yard line. Game getting really chippy right now, and a lot of stoppages between these two, Justin.
Oh, yeah, especially right now. There's been a lot of penalties against both of these teams. See what the call is here. Not sure if this is against Chapman.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 9, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So Sada Ellis gets called for the face mask. We saw him a bit earlier in the game making some plays.
Yeah, you see on that play, Gian Lagerman's helmet kind of turns at the very end there with that pull from Sada Ellis. And again, emphasizing the safety of these players here in Division III. And that gives Chapman easy yards to get another first down.
Peterman in the gun, handoff to Ursino, runs to his left, steps away from McKenna Barcelona, as he'll pick up a gain of about 5. That'll put him close to the first down marker. As the run game, maybe not as prolific as Bantalino was in that first half, but starting to come along now as Chapman starting to gain some chunk yardage on the ground through Ursino and a few runs through Fisher-Huss.
Yeah, Ursino now up to 83 yards in this game so far. I only had 50 in that first half. He's now averaging 4.9 yards a carry. Starting to become a little bit more effective now against this Boxers defense.
Now hand off to Huss. Huss has a hole right in the middle. Pacific defenders converge on him from all different sides, but not before he picks up the first down. As the clock starts to wind down, this Chapman crowd starting to get into it with how crazy this game has been on all different sides. You have to be happy that Chapman just has a 5-point lead heading into what seems like it will be the fourth quarter.
Absolutely, and they have to be careful. The ball security is the name of the game right now. They have to keep this ball in their hands. Got to stop with the turnovers and really be careful with that ball in their hands.
Handoff back to Huss. Outside zone being pursued out there. And it's a good tackle there from Sada Ellis to keep the Fullerton product. Troy High School's very own. Actually the same high school that our very own Caroline Chang that you've seen down on the sidelines and our very own Zach Richter went to not too long ago. A little bit hobbled though, as Huss comes up limping after the play.
That is the end of the third quarter.
And that will be the end of 3 quarters, 15 minutes left in this game. Chapman up by 5, Justin. This game has been back and forth on all levels, but that third quarter just seemed to go straight into chaos. We had no idea what happened.
Absolutely, and this is the weirdest quarter I've ever seen in a D3 football game in a while, but now it's fourth quarter, so we'll see what happens in that as we get closer to crunch time.
45 minutes gone, 15 left to remain. Who comes out on top as Chapman looks for Bob Owens' 100th career Chapman win? We have it all here on CSBN right here after the break. Peterman flushed, and Peterman's going to get dragged all the way out. Chapman asking for a flag. They're going to get it. Tanioka out there alongside with number 16 for the Pacific Boxers.
Yeah, that was Tatum Tausaga, sophomore out of Palolo, Hawaii, St. Louis School. That's an errant play, obviously going out of bounds. If you see the quarterback going out, get himself up.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 16. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Yeah, you know if he's going out of bounds like that, you just got to disengage. He just drags him down by the shoulder pads, and that's an easy call for the refs. And you hear the boos rain down after that play.
It's an easy call for the refs, but you also have to feel a little bit bad for Tausaga. Obviously, Peterman not fighting it out till the very end. And ultimately, just quarterback protection rules always going to come to their benefit. Lucky break for the Panthers. Unfortunate for Pacific.
Those are consequences of your actions. That's just the name of the game.
So Tausaga's still out there. We haven't seen much of Hunter Brown as this ball goes to Gio Ursino, who fights for an extra yard on the lunge, taken down by Drew Welch at the end of the play.
Again, trying to establish the run game just a tad bit here. Keep running it. Especially when they have the lead right now. You got to score more points. You're getting closer to the red zone territory. It's time for the run game to really show itself and show its full colors right now. Because then if you allow them to do that, again, that play action pass is going to come into great detail here.
So we've seen the two-back set quite a bit. Ursino out there, but also Jake Foy instead of Fisher-Huss out there next to Peterman on his left. Handoff. Actually, no, play action. Peterman fending off defenders. Faleulu forcing the throw out of bounds. Nehemiah Faleulu, he's just been all over this game.
Grounding. The quarterback was outside the pocket. The ball did cross the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he had a good chance there to make a sack play. And then Peterman said, all right, I'm going to pull at you or senior here. I'm going to put my hand in your face. Then he just smartly throws it out of bounds. Keep the drive going alive instead of taking a loss there.
Just gave him the Heisman right there. So as this game continues to wind down, you have to wonder what the strategies are for both of these coaches, Falconer and Owens. 1 timeout left for Chapman, 2 left for the Boxers.
You got Cade Zimmerman at the bottom of your screen. Watch out for him.
Peterman feels the pressure, finds Bruce. Bruce hauls it in. Bruce still fighting. And Jason Bruce wrapped up and down at the 5. What a grab through traffic by Jason Bruce.
Beautiful play indeed from Jason Bruce, working on Joseph Taylor Pate in coverage. He had to go fight for this ball. We know Jason Bruce is a tough athlete. You just see the way that down here, the ball's thrown a little bit underthrown, just a tad bit, but he's able to secure that pass and get himself into red zone territory.
Handoff to Ursino. Ursino stiff arms a man. And Hunter Brown, we haven't called his name much today. And Ursino a little hobbled on the play for a second. He gets up easily, though. Good to see that for the Panthers. But so far, this pass game has been clicking on all different levels. Bruce now up to 86 yards. He's 14 away from joining Loggeman and Adams in the 100-yard mark. Peterman slicing and dicing up this Boxer secondary all night long, and right now they're getting anything that they want. Now with a chance to go up by even more. Compact formation, Zimmerman at the top, Bruce in motion. Peterman pulls it back out. Peterman being chased, he's gonna go for the end zone, and Peterman runs it in. Luke Peterman doing it all, have a debut on the season, and number 10 orchestrating it to perfection.
Yes, indeed, he did. He made the smart decision there, took it himself, said, I'm going to take this for a touchdown. He's looking for Quentin Beeble. He was covered up in the back end, puts it right in, and gives the Panthers another extra breathing room that they needed.
So potentially a chance to go up 35-23. Jax Hudson back out there. He's 4 for 4 tonight on the extra points. And why not make it 5 for 5? 5 out of 5, kind of up on one hand, as we like to say. And now Chapman up by 12. This was the exact score of the closest Pacific versus Chapman scoreline that we've ever seen between these two teams in 4 matchups. And Luke Peterman continuing to add to the legacy from QB3 to a Chapman legend in the making. Number 10, he was number 14 last year. Number 10, a big-time number in soccer. That means you're the playmaker of the team. He surely has been that one here tonight on the football field.
Absolutely. He has been a huge playmaker for this team right now. Already 16 for 20, only 1 interception, but that can be offset with the amount of touchdowns that this guy has thrown. 4 touchdowns, 320 yards. Obviously just got the rushing touchdown that he just got. But the big thing is 80% completion, a high mark number for this guy. And especially being the man of the hour for this team, he's doing a good job showing off his talent. Last year, only 69% completion percentage. He was already doing better than his average from last year.
Well, he had 3 rushing touchdowns last year. 40 rushes for 73 yards. Already up to 6 for 21 on the season in this opening match. And now Chapman just 12-22 away from an opening night win and 100 career Chapman wins for our very own Bob Owens. Brody Bantalina back there to receive the kick. What can Pacific get going right here? Bantalina breaking tackles as per usual. Pacific asking for a flag at the end of the play. Not gonna get it. What do you think has to be the mentality of this team right now? It was a crazy third quarter. Now, with about 12 minutes left in this fourth, they abandoned the run, it seemingly felt like, in that third quarter. What has to get back into flow for Jim Kraft and this offense as he makes these calls.
The one thing that's really been working for them is that defense. It's really been their job of scoring these points for this Boxers team, and now they got to come in here and figure out how to get the ball down the field. I think they should go with the run game once again. Stick with it. You have 12 minutes to go. Just get the ball down the field. You know Titus has been in trouble a lot already in this game.
Well, Titus going to have to throw once again. He's going for Tyler Penn, and the flag comes out late as Devin Cobb. Chapman's not going to like it, but it did look like he got a little grab on the shoulder pads of Tyler Penn near the end of that play. Smart throw by Braden Titus to keep the chains moving and potentially gain some extra yardage without even having to do a thing.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 4. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
You see on the replay here as he's going on the outside corner, a little bit maybe of a tug there, but I think he just lost his balance. But again, that's just the way college football works. It's more of the advantage of the offense here with these receivers, and it's just a tough play there by Devin Cobb. That was really good coverage on his end.
Titus turns around, hands it off to Bantalina. And for what seems like the first time in quite a while, Brody Bantalina gets his hands on the football.
And you see the amount of yards that he gains on just one run play already near the sticks and getting another first down. Again, I think the strategy really just stick with the run here. And then if you need to later on, if you can get this lead down, then you start passing it.
They're going to elect to pass here. Titus feeling the pressure, going downfield. Nobody in the vicinity. Closest one to it was number 9. Excuse me. I think that was number 6, Josiah Chafin. So 3rd and 5 coming up for Pacific. 11:32 still left, but with 2 timeouts, you have to wonder maybe this is 4-down territory for them as they approach midfield.
I mean, this might determine the game right here if they can't convert on first down.
Titus getting the pressure, coming in. 3 different guys, Zimmerman, Cade Jordan, and Kyle Sieben, all in on the action. And they deserve to celebrate as the Panthers come out to prowl.
Yeah, Bishop said, let's put the pressure on, make the Boxers throw the ball on this 3rd and 5. Got to go all the way through here on this replay. You see the amount of pressure that's in his face, and great job to wrap up. Again, help with Kyle Sieben there, Tate Zimmerman, and obviously Mr. Cade Jordan with the hair flying in.
So much for 4-down territory. Pacific forced to punt once again. It's been a busy night so far for Jackson Green, who kicks it again to Amir Adams, who will haul that one in. No troubles there as Garrett Roach did not have that one kick off the heel like it did last time. But Chapman will take it over from their own 27-yard line. So far, a lot to like from this Panthers offense, and the defense has also come out to play when it's mattered most.
And that's what it means when you play in the 4th quarter. You got to play when it matters the most. Right now, getting closer to crunch time. Now the pressure is all on Pacific. If they want to stay in this game, they've got to figure out how to stop this Panthers offense once again. Cannot let them get down the field.
Well, that was the thing about the Panthers last season, is that they were able to build up the cushion. They were able to find their way through. But when it came to the 4th quarter, they really struggled, but they had the cushion to be able to go forward. Now it feels like they're trying to slam down the hammer, kick in the door, and really push this game out of bounds. Going deep, Bruce got a little tug on the jersey. Strode was the culprit, but not enough as Bruce kept his run going.
Interesting decision here from the Panthers offense. Bob Owens calling up the deep ball here. Good placement actually from Peterman, just a little bit overthrown, just a bit out of the reach of his intended receiver, Bruce. But very interesting play call, especially with the lead right now. You think they would just stick to the run. It's been working so far. Now they've got an interesting back in Foy and Gio Orsino in the backfield.
So Chapman goes 21 personnel once again. Handoff to Orsino, and Orsino finds the gap. And Gio Orsino showing off the moves to gain another Chapman first down. He's been everywhere in this second half.
A good job here on this run. Orsino cuts up, finds the gap, nearly gets tackled down, but nobody's able to wrap up on Gio Orsino. And again, this is what I feel like they should stick to this, just that run game. If it's working, like you said, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
So far, it's been their golden ticket. It was their golden ticket all of last season. It's what carried them through and really allowed them to weather the storm of having 3 different starting quarterbacks. Going back to Orsino again. Lowers the shoulder right into Sada Ellis. And a late flag, 2 late flags come flying in. This might be on the Panthers, as that looks like it riled up the Pacific bench.
Well, I don't know if either it was the Pacific bench or if it was Gio Orsino that had some choice words for the sideline over there. See what the call is right now. But again, Orsino actually had a chance to break away free on this last run. But good job from the outside look on Sada Ellis to stop Orsino from getting on the outside too far.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense, number 20. The down will count. It'll be second down, 15-yard penalty. Second down.
So 2nd and 25, here we go. As Orsino, definitely not going to get some kind words probably in the film room from Bob Owens later this week after that one.
Yeah, I don't think his running backs coach, Isaiah Williams, is happy about that response from Orsino. Look, you guys have the lead right now. You got to put your team first. Can't make those types of decisions. Especially if you're the guy who's trying to get this team into prime position to end this game. Can't be out there making those type of choice words. The Panthers here now backed up. These are drive killers.
2nd and 23. First down marker at the 50. And Peterman just has to throw it right into the dirt. Nobody open.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Number 21 was in the area.
Pacific wants an intentional grounding call. Jake Foy, the eligible receiver in the area. The Pacific bench and fans letting the referees know how they feel about that call as they try and work their way back into this game. 9:19 left in this 4th quarter of this opening match. Thank you so much for joining us here on CSBN with Flow Sports. Nico Schwegler, Justin Lee, Caroline Chang down on the sidelines, and the rest of our amazing crew. Luke Peterman now with 3rd and 23 on the 27. Goes quickly over the middle to Amir Adams, going to get to about the 40. Still with 10 yards left to go until that first. It looks like Carson Nichols will come out for another punt for this Chapman unit.
Yeah, we haven't seen them punt too much, but here, look at this play right here. Good coverage from the boxers here. Number 9, Salah Ellis covering Amir Adams. He makes a position catch. He makes it back to where they were originally. But again, that Gio Orsino call earlier coming into play here, they weren't able to get the first, and now they got to punt it away to the specific boxers team who's looking to try to take the lead back.
So Zion Booker, we saw the speed on him as he ripped that ball away from Orsino to make this a 28-23 game in favor of Chapman. He's back to receive this punt from Nichols. Oof. Nobody blocking. Out there was number 11 for the Panthers. That looks like it was Miles Grossman, the sophomore out of San Rafael, forcing Zion Booker into the fair catch. So Pacific Boxers will take this one over from about their own 18-yard line. You have to wonder what we're seeing out of this offense. 2 running backs out there, including Brody Manzolina.
Now they have to do the job of getting this ball down the field and take their time. They still have 8:25 to go. Plenty of time to do something here special.
Hand off to Brody. Misdirection everywhere, but not much room left. Hunter Wickham in the tackle along with Cade Jordan. And that's the thing about this defense for Chapman. They were a bend-don't-break style of defense last season. But right now, it's not so much about just getting this Pacific offense off the field. They're trying to do it in style. They're trying to do it with a dominating fashion, getting to the quarterback, making the big play, getting the interception. We'll see if that comes into play in this one. In motion is Evans. Titus looks over the middle, and Chafin unable to haul that one in. We saw a lot of Josiah Chafin in that first half so far, quite quiet in the second half. Obviously, some adjustments from David Bishop during the halftime break.
Yeah, they've been kind of quiet so far, especially with Tyler Penn. We haven't seen much of him either so far in the passing game. This ball was just kind of a little bit too much heat was put behind this ball and just missed his guy, and that could have been easy first down yardage for Josiah Chafin. Unfortunately, now they're on the third down in their own territory. This is a must convert.
2 receivers at the top of your screen. 21 personnel for Pacific. Coming in. Oh, my word, what a tackle down. K. Jordan, stuff it in your sack and take it to the bank. And the punting unit has to come out once again. I mentioned they want to go out in dominating style. And no other guy but K. Jordan can do that seemingly on the most consistent of bases.
Yeah, we talked about it. K. Jordan unblocked, coming out from the edge here, coming all the way through, and he says, allow me to introduce myself. Pulls the finger wag in the air, and there we go. The guy we talked about earlier, he's going to be the disruptive man in this team, and they play where it matters.
Well, you got a game prep for him as Amir Adams will call in the fair catch just near the 50-yard line. If there's one guy you got a game plan for, he surely has to be the guy who won Defensive Player of the Year in his conference. And unfortunately tonight for Pacific, they just have not been on it. It's been K. Jordan, it's been the likes of Alex Tariquez who've been all over the place. Second sack on the night for K. Jordan. That man's a manimal.
Absolutely, and he gave him the Dikembe Mutombo with the finger wag in the air saying, no, 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 you're not getting anywhere through me. And you just see the efficiency here on third downs. They've only completed 3 out of 10 on third down conversion. They just haven't been able to get the ball up the field on third downs. And this is what they struggled with last year, trying to get those third down conversions. Got to do a better job here, and now they have their defense out there fighting for their lives again.
2 tight ends out there for the Panthers. Another handoff to Ursino as they try and run out this clock. Ursino will get a bunch of chunk yardage on that one. No extra words from Chapman's number 20 after that one. Not trying to cost his team late in this game as the clock will wind down to about 6.5 minutes left in this fourth. Chapman on the brink of 100 career wins at the school for Bob Owens and coming away with a 1-0 record out of this one. It's got to feel good, especially after starting 0-3 last year following the suspended Pacific game.
You think he's holding a root beer can in his pocket, Coach Bob Owens? I don't know if he's going to crack that out.
Well, we'll talk about it later after this play. As another handoff to Ursino. He'll get stuffed in the backfield. Number 15, Avin Tenioka, once again in on the play. But if you don't know this about Bob Owens, he indeed is loved by his players. We know that. But he also has a fridge in his office, literally just full of root beer. That man loves his root beer. We talked with him at practice earlier, and he said there's no better way than to finish off a good night after a victory Saturday with a nice root beer float. I don't know if Maddie and Lisa have some waiting for him down on the sidelines if we win this game, but maybe next time.
Yeah, we're about to find out. We're about to find out.
So 2nd and 10 for the Panthers. Ursino finds the hole. Ursino still going. And it takes a heroic effort from Faleulu to drag him down. Gio Ursino, after giving up that penalty that might have cost Chapman, really winding down the clock right now. He's just going full steam ahead.
Yeah, full steam ahead. Now he's over 100 yards on the day, breaking tackles left and right, avoiding people in open space, gets Zion Booker to miss. Faleulu saves a touchdown potentially on this run. Ursino now up to a 4.8 average on every single rush, 120 yards in total so far.
Actually up to 136 now after that last run. Still in there next to Peterman. And why not go back to him again? He gets met in the backfield, though. Out there was Isaiah Regala coming in with the defensive stop. The senior out of Campbell, California, so not too far away here in the state. It's his first start of his career, and he played only 1 game last year against Linfield, one of the premier teams of that Northwest Conference. Looking ahead for Pacific, they're going to have to contend with the Linfields, the Whitworths of the world. We'll see Whitworth, not necessarily here, but up in Washington in a few weeks for the Chapman side, who lost to the Pirates twice last season. We'll see if Pacific has any luck this year going against some of those top teams, as well as George Fox and some of those other tough Northwest Conference sides. Ursino once again stuffed in the backfield by Mai. Rain Posse also out there. As that was, Jake Foy into the game on the carry.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where, especially for Pacific, they play pretty good. This is a good showing from this team so far, so don't discredit them to this point. They've really shown themselves. We talked about it, Falconer wanting to change the narrative, change the way that this team plays. They've come out here with a message, but they've got to get this ball back if they want to stay in this thing. But right now, Panthers doing a good job keeping the time in possession, and when they play Whitworth next week, that's going to be a revenge match for this Chapman Panthers team indeed.
Another handoff to Ursino, and Ursino trying to find the edge, gets dragged down by Tanioka. So the clock winding down to 3 minutes. Time not on the Boxers' side, as they only have 2 timeouts left.
Yeah, they've only got 2 chances to stop this clock, and also actually 3 now with the new rules of the two-minute timeout before the end of the game.
So it is 4th and 9. We'll see what Chapman does. They might just run down this game clock and then wait to call a timeout at the last second. Obviously, with just 1 timeout left, no real point in going for it right now, but they're lining up as if they might.
4th and 9, maybe try to make the line jump.
And they will go for it indeed. Peterman looking for Adams, corner of the end zone. Amir Adams with the hat trick. Pull the rabbit out of the hat, and Amir Adams continues to light up this field.
So Bob Owens says, you know what, we're not going to kick a field goal here, and we alluded to this earlier. We're going to go and we're going to score a touchdown, because Bob Owens says, I got 2 touchdowns in my shopping cart. I'm going to add another one. He says, Peterman, give me that next day shipping. Delivers it right on point to Amir Adams with that touchdown. And that is a for sure dagger in this game.
Jeff Bezos would have been proud of that shipping right there. Not Amazon Prime, we got Chapman Prime. Gio Orsino pull it out of the bag, and he's going to go all the way in.
Excuse me?
The disrespect on this team right now. 2 points in. And you know, maybe that has to feel good for Gio after picking up that 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And now the Panthers up by 20. When did this happen?
So I don't know if Bob Owens said, let's do that, but I thought it was a bad snap or something, but this is design. Ursino just takes himself to the outside and nobody's paying attention to him. He gets in there for 2 points. The disrespect, they're putting the salt on this wound that is already deep enough as it is, Nico.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an unbelievable design from Owens on that last play. Have to give credit where credit was due. We talked a lot heading into the break, as well as just us two personally, during halftime, how impressed we were with the Boxers and their tenacity so far through that first half. And it just seems like after all the commotion and chaos that happened in that third quarter, it seems like all the steam just ran out at some point, and in the fourth quarter, Chapman has just not looked back. And so they're up by 20 with 2:14 left, and a Bob Owens now 2:14 left from 100 career Chapman wins, Justin.
Yep, getting closer to that achievement and cementing himself in this legacy.
Whoa. And what is happening here? Did Chapman recover it?
Multiple flags on the field, though. This might come back.
I think it will. But right now, Chapman's just giving it to Pacific right now. They don't care about anything. They are not allowing any regard for human life. Just pulling all the tricks out of the bag, saying, you know, you wanted to talk smack earlier in the game? Why not? Let's just give it to you at the end. Pull everything out. Special teams included.
Offsides, kicking team, number 0. 5-yard penalty, first down, Pacific.
So Roach will get called for the penalty, but just an absolute dime from Peterman on that last throw to Adams. That's how you cap off 3 touchdowns. 7 for 148. He had 7 for 145 last year in their opener against Whitworth.
Yeah, this has been a really weird game. We've seen so many things already in this game, and then they almost just did a little flip in the air with the high kick and trying to get the onside to get the ball back. I mean, if Pacific doesn't remember all these things that Chapman's doing to them, I'm sure they'll remember it next year. My, oh my.
So
I mean,
2-12.
What just talking about that gutsy call from Owens and trying to get that ball back.
2:12 left. Titus still in this game. Boxers still battling for it. Chafin gets dragged down by Adam Andrade, who gets his first touches of this game on the defensive side. And now Bob Owens and David Bishop being allowed to empty out their bench.
2-minute timeout.
As this game seems like it is done and dusted. Obviously 2 minutes still remain, but with the 2-minute warning, we just have to take a look at some of these plays as it continues to go on. But before that happens, we're going to take a quick break before this. Justin, it's been quite the matchup. We'll be right back after this. .120 seconds remain between Chapman being 1-0 as they're up by 20 on these Pacific Boxers. The Pacific offense still clinging on for dear life as they'll get it to Christian Carmichael. A bit surprising to see some of these starters still out here for Pacific. Obviously, you feel like no game's ever done until it hits 0-0, but down by 20, this clock starting to roll. Are you surprised that they're trying to keep some of these guys out here and maybe risk some injury?
Well, I mean, it is the first game of the year. Just give him a chance.
Bantalina still rushing hard. It's been him and him all night long. He really gave Chapman a scare in that first half. But it hasn't really been the Chapman defense that's been the stifling part against Bantalina in this second. It's just been Pacific deciding to abandon the run the way that they hadn't in the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And almost picked off there. That was number 24, JT Clark, who got a hand on it, Josiah Chafin. The intended target also got a few paws on that ball before it went incomplete.
And then nearly in the back end, Josiah Chafin nearly had that catch with the one-hander and just wasn't able to get it back. But going back to the point about the Pacific Boxers and leaving the starters out there, I mean, it is the first game of the year. You want to test these guys. You know, they're going through a little bit of adversity. Just give them a chance because obviously it's going to be a long season.
Dump off to Bantalina. He's got blockers out in front. And that was the difference between the first half and the second half. Feels like about 2 hours ago, that would have been 30 yards to the house from number 9. Now, it's a quick stop as this clock now strikes 60 seconds left. The Boxers' time on this game winding down to 0. Titus getting blown up. JT Clark almost had the pick on the last play. And now he brings Braden Titus down with authority. Titus looks a little shaken up after that one. And I probably would be too, no matter how big and tall I was. He's 6'5", and he still felt that with all his force.
Absolutely. JT Clark flying in here, senior 5'10".
Pacific, that's their second charge, timeout. Game clock operator, please put 48 seconds on the game clock. 48 seconds, please.
Yeah, that's a senior down there making that big sack in the backfield. And especially if you know if it's your last year here playing football, you're going to put everything out on the line, and that's his audition tape right there. And now the Panthers putting a lot of the backups in here because obviously they're leading by a whole 20 points right now. This game pretty much out of hand. But credit Pacific to at least keep their starters in there, show off a little bit of grit, show off a little bit of fight. They're going to have to go back home later on, and they're going to have to work out this long season. But in terms of their conference, it doesn't really do much in the standings. The conference games matter the most, but this is a really good showing start for this Pacific Boxers team, and they have nothing to be worried about.
Final plays winding down here for Pacific. Quick throw out to Chafin. Gets pounded down there. Number 13, Cole McFarland on the tackle. And we like to say in the present moment here, we like being where we are. But now
Timeout, Pacific.
you have to say that we can look ahead a little bit towards the future
Charge
with this
timeout.
final timeout for Pacific. Maybe just trying to add a few extra points on the board, give themselves something to hang their hat on. But as for Chapman, next week they get the bye, and then they get Whitworth. That's a team that's beaten them 2 years, including them in their own house and in the NCAA D3 tournament. What do you think needs to change? Because Whitworth today, in fact, opened their season with a 40-7 win against another school from Minnesota. What does Chapman need to do to come out and beat the team that's haunted them from last season?
Well, the formula is out there right now, and especially you talked about the passing game that has worked so amazingly against an actually a fairly decent Boxers secondary that we talked about early in the game. We know the weakness was really that front line, but they also held up their game in the first half. So the big thing is really just keeping the balanced offense in what they did. And Ursino up to 140 yards already. Again, it's about that run game and using that to your advantage to open up the play action. And they're going to need that, especially going into that game against Whitworth. But this defense, they've got to figure out how to stop runs like that, because Whitworth is really good with that as well.
Absolutely. They had one guy last year in that tournament game as Clark once again out there, fumble out there on the field, and Chapman's going to pick it up. Just representative of everything that this second half has been like.
The ruling on the field is a fumble by the quarterback, recovered by the defense. First
Picked
down,
up by
Chapman.
Trenton Dewar.
My
One of the
goodness.
backup safeties for Chapman.
He just comes out of nowhere. J.C. Clark again making a disruption here. Where did this guy come from? He's making his audition tape very, very nicely out here tonight.
And those defensive starters absolutely loving it. J.T. Clark, it's going to be hard to break into this first team of linebackers, but he's making his case right now. We'll see if he gets a few more snaps. Peterman goes back out there as it looks like they're just going to kneel out this clock. Victory formation as they call it. And why not for number 10? 6 total touchdowns on the night, 356 passing yards, and it was his game all game long. 75% completion percentage. We had questions about who was going to be the quarterback coming into this season. We were asked by Coach Leahy, by Coach Shine, what's it going to be like this year with so many great quarterbacks on the roster? And it was open competition. It feels like Peterman might have closed the door on that with this performance tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Talk about closing the door. No, I think he slammed it closed. You see the way that he played tonight. Obviously, there was a few mistakes in this game and how he executed. You know, obviously an interception, fumbles in the backfield. There was a couple mistakes, but that just comes with playing the first game of the season. And then he turned it up in the second half, because that's where it matters the most. And you see the way that he used his feet, used his legs, used his arms. 4 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He was all over the place tonight.
It wasn't just him, though. You have to say that you have to be impressed by the defense. Nobody was, you'd say, had that standard patented star game. Cade Jordan probably the most likely with 2 sacks. But surprisingly, after a bit of a sluggish first quarter, Gio Orsino really came into his own and got that run game going. And after that, Pacific had no answer.
No, they had no answer whatsoever. And you talked about that defense once again. I think the misconception about a lot of defenses nowadays in football is the fact that, you got to get, lower expectation down to 3 points, 7 points, 14 points, that sort of thing. No, you have to play when it matters, and that's exactly what Chapman did, getting those turnovers and stopping this Pacific Boxers offense where they were. Just like in the first half, they were dangerous, but the Panthers, they played when it mattered.
Well, as we take a look at what's going to happen next for these Chapman Panthers, we have to stay in this present moment, though, because this is a big win for one man in particular. We mentioned it throughout the broadcast. Bob Owens, 100 career Chapman wins. Congratulations, Coach, and what a milestone for arguably the greatest coach in all of Chapman history.
Absolutely, and obviously we've had the pleasure of watching this guy through 10 years, ever since even CSBN started in 2014. We got to see that first Sky championship in 2014 with the Panthers. We've seen a dynasty grow. He's really taken this program to places we could never imagine, and the fact that we've been around 10 years to see it is amazing.
Well, he's been at the helm for many, many years, since the 90s indeed. But now he's trying to repeat as SCIAC champions for the first time in his career. He feels like he has the team to do it, and after that performance, we definitely feel like they have the team to do it as well. But now we're going to throw it down to our very own Caroline Chang, who's awaiting with our MVP of the game. Caro, what do you have down there?
Thank you so much, Nico and Justin. My name is Caroline Chang. I am standing here with our very own Amir Adams. Thank you so much for joining us. You are our MVP.
Thank you so much.
I mean, 7 receptions, over 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Let's go.
That's crazy. How are you feeling right now?
I feel great. I'm blessed not to be injured today, and get after it next week. I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm so excited for you. You've already set the tone right now. I mean, moving forward, what are you going to take from this game? Especially, you got a week of rest, but then you're facing off with the Whitworth Pirates. How's that going to go?
Yeah, so last year losing to Whitworth last game, actually twice in the season. I think we're out for revenge this year. But I think that we'll fix the mistakes we made in this game. We had a lot of minor mistakes, at least on the offensive side. I think defense could fix a little bit of things too. But focus on those mistakes this week, and then we'll get after it in 2 weeks.
For real. I mean, also one more thing. I got 2 more things, but one more thing I got to ask you is, like, you're a captain this year, all right? Leadership moment. We've been seeing it throughout your whole time here, but now that you're here as a captain, why is it so important for you to lead by example, especially to those younger players?
Yeah, I mean, we have not too many young guys this year, but just leading by example. Obviously, playing as well as I did, getting the team behind me, just get going, and especially in those moments where they come back or they answer with a touchdown. I think that it's important to lead just by example. Rally the guys on the sideline, even the guys that don't play, just get them going and get after it.
Yeah, that's so perfect. All right, and then one last question for you. How are you gonna celebrate?
Coach O likes to celebrate with root beer floats. So today was his 100th win, and it's also the 10th year anniversary of the 2014 SCIAC champions. So we'll have a lot of root beer floats.
That's for sure. It's going to be a crazy party. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Amir Adams. Thank you so much. Sending it back up to you guys in the booth, Nico and Justin.
Go Panthers.
Fantastic work, Caro. Thank you so much to her from down on the sidelines. Root beer floats, it has to be the greatest celebration in Chapman history. But you also have to love what Amir had to say. Despite winning by 20 points, there's still things that they have to improve on, especially heading against a team like Whitworth, where you're going to have to shore up everything on both sides of the ball to come away with the win in Washington.
No, he hit on all the points that we talked about throughout the game today. You know, you saw the mistakes out there. He was very humble and, really revealing that a lot about the mistakes that they played and how they have to clean those up for the later week. They have to go play away in Whitworth. They played them last year when they were going into the NCAA tournament, lost in that stadium, but they have a chance to do revenge. Losing twice in a row against Whitworth, they've got a chance to do something once again. And the way they showed out tonight, it's an indicator of what might potentially happen. Just like the Disneyland fireworks, just like the Angel Stadium fireworks, we might see some fireworks up north.
Well, the fireworks surely came out tonight. We heard them behind us at Disneyland earlier, but now Chapman, this football team, they're firing on all cylinders. What do you think they have to be going for this season? Obviously SCIAC championship, but they're obviously going to be pushing for something much more, making their deepest run potentially ever in the NCAA D3 tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them really throw this in 2019. They played Linfield. They beat him in triple overtime. That's as far as they kind of really got. So the question is for Bob Owens is do you want this team to elevate themselves even further? We saw Cortland University in the Stag Bowl really take it away against a really good North Central team last year. Chapman could have a chance, but who knows? It's early in the season. We don't want to freak out about those things. And especially, I'm going to take it to Pacific a little bit. It was a good game from them in the first half. They just, obviously some mistakes and going away from the run game, but don't discredit the fact that they actually put themselves on the radar and really made Chapman get a run for the money in the first half.
Anything can happen in college football, and we're just happy to be along for the ride. So, for our director, Stephen Hogenkamp, our producer, Lauren De Los Santos, our sideline reporter, Caroline Chang, that's been Justin Lee. I'm Nico Schwegler, and for the rest of our crew here at CSBN, we say adios from Orange, California. Chapman wins 43-23 over Pacific. We're going to send it down
Thanks again,
to the
Nico
field
and Justin.
where Madison Miller and Lisa Pressler are awaiting.
Thanks
with
again,
the
Nico
sideline.
and Justin. I'm Madison Miller.
I'm Lisa Pressler. And what an exciting end to that game, right? We saw Nico Orsino running the ball, and then, of course, Amir Adams got that last touchdown with 3 minutes remaining in the game. So, I mean, both these players tonight were vital a part of the game, right?
Right. So not only Orsino and Adams, but also Luke Peterman was absolutely essential to tonight's game. And someone else that I want to give a mention is Jason Bruce, who actually Coach Casey Shine, who we'll be meeting with here in just a second. Even we spoke to him about Jason Bruce on Thursday, and he even gave him the superlative as in his mind, the superlative of most improved. And he was definitely an asset to tonight's game.
Yeah, okay, now we're going to turn it over and look at the post-game stats. All right, so we got first downs. We got Pomona with 14 and Chapman with 25. For rushing yards, we got 116 from Pacific. Pacific. And we got Chapman with 156. Passing yards, we got Chapman, taking a big lead in that with 375, with Pacific only 157. So, Chapman was taking a big step with the passing yards. And now joining us is Coach. Coach, my first question for you tonight is, how do you think the team performed, being it was their first game of the season?
Yeah, first game of the season. You're expecting a few bumps in the road. We had a couple fumbles, a pick. But, the great part about the team was, they overcame. They overcame adversity. We talk about that all the time. And so they did a great job of overcoming and making plays. At the end of the day, we'll take a little bumpy win rather than a clean loss, So, it was neat to see some of the guys who worked throughout the off season come through when their number was called.
Yeah. And Coach Shine, since you're the offensive line coach, what are some, challenges that the offensive line, if any, underwent previously that were overcome, and how were they overcome in this game specifically?
Yeah, great. The O-line is the unsung hero of the offense. They get no personal accolades. The no stats go to the O-line, and so we had a center get a concussion in practice, so we had to shuffle our offensive line around. So we had to overcome that, and then they actually showed a front that they hadn't shown before, so it confused our guys a little bit early on. But the O-line did great. I think we gave up a couple pressures, but other than that, they gave Peterman a whole bunch of time to throw and had some nice running lanes for the running backs.
Right. And then also one other kind of additional question touching on when we spoke with you on Thursday. You mentioned Jason Bruce and how he was, in your mind, by far the most improved on the O-line. Can we talk about that tonight and his performance
receiver.
tonight?
Receiver. Yes.
Receiver.
Yeah.
Apologies.
And so he had a touchdown tonight and, made some big-time catches today. And, so happy for everybody. Yeah, Bruce, he came on late at the end of the year last year, and, this whole offseason, he just committed himself, physical fitness training, all that type of stuff, and, all the guys do a great job. He really stands out in mind, not missing a day, just being consistent day in, day out.
Right, and when you're talking about that consistency specifically with Bruce, but then also probably as expected with the rest of the team, what are your expectations going forward for the rest of the season?
Well, we have a lot of talented guys, and some guys that maybe didn't make some plays. So it's going to be a fun season as long as we talk about within our meetings, not having an ego, and if everybody's unselfish, there's going to be a lot of playmakers on this offense. It's a really fun offense to be a part of, and. We saw a lot of 42 points or 43 points. It's a nice little start to the season.
Yeah, and my last question for you, Coach, is Whitworth is your next game, right? And they were a pretty big competitor last season. So what is the game plan going in for this matchup?
We'll take a look at them. Luckily, we have a bye week coming up, so we'll have 2 weeks to prepare for them. They had a really nice win on the road today. We have to go up to them in 2 weeks. We lost to them in the playoffs last year. They're a well-coached team. They're going to have a lot of guys returning on defense. Their defensive line is going to be a concern for us, and we're going to really have to work hard to pull out a victory. And it was a close game down here last year. We played them at home last year, and then the playoff games got away a little bit late, but it was close for the most part. So they're a great opponent, well coached, and we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah. All right. Well, congrats on the win tonight.
Yeah,
and thank you for joining us tonight.
Appreciate it. You guys do a great job here, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Love
Thank you.
CSBN.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to toss it to highlights coming up.
All right, and after seeing some of those highlights from some of those key plays in tonight's game, something else I kind of want to touch on, that when we spoke to head coach Bob Owens for the Chapman Panthers on Thursday, something that he mentioned in terms of prep, obviously this was Chapman's first game and very successful for them. Something that he mentioned was that their preparation was excellent for this season. And then he also referred to, he said, prep was excellent on both sides of the ball, and then he said, as he likes to refer to it, as all three sides of the ball, being defense, offense, and special teams. So obviously all the coaches were their expectations were exceeded tonight with their preparation along with the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, he also said that there was a strong group of starters, and upperclassmen, and we saw that tonight. We saw Nico Ursino, we saw Amir Adams. They all played incredible, and especially our quarterback. We got to give it up to him because he's our number one starter.
But yeah, something else we also wanted to talk about with Coach Bob Owens, as previously mentioned by our commentator Nico.
Yeah, we unfortunately do not have any root beer floats, Nico. But, next time we're working a very hot game,
Nico.
We would love to enjoy a couple root beer floats. And I bet Bob Owens would too,
Yes. So going forward with this season, obviously, once again, very successful night for the Chapman Panthers. So our upcoming games coming up in this season, we're going to have Chapman versus Whitworth next on the September 21st, which is obviously going to be a very important game for them, considering very tense game. Chapman lost to Whitworth, unfortunately, both times last season, so that will definitely be a tense rivalry. Then we have Chapman versus Redlands on September 28th, Kowloon versus Chapman on October 5th, which is our homecoming, Claremont on October 12th, and finally, Pomona on October 19th for our upcoming games for the Chapman Panthers this season. And hopefully there's as much success with those games as there was tonight. So that concludes our post-game show. Thank you for watching. I'm Madison Miller.
I'm Lisa Pressler.
And thank you for watching CSBN.